It'll be the first time I've had to go in the office on a Friday in 9 months.
Oof.
So it's just... Oh, we're both wearing green. Shit. I didn't realise that.
Is that a problem? Do I need to go change right now?
Yeah, go. Just take your top off.
Just take it off now? I think that's against terms of service. I'm pretty sure nipples are against terms of service.
Well, even men's nipples. That seems a bit...
Even men's nipples, yeah. It's been a while since I've looked at the TOS. I think the last time I looked was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. But pretty sure that's how it worked.
Perhaps we need to start to petition Twitch staff to say that men's nipples are okay.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is... I've actually been reading some articles on it lately because a Twitch streamer recently got suspended for, like, drawing nipples, I think it was, or something like that. But, like, apparently...
For drawing?
Yeah. So, apparently, like, it's really, like, contextual. Like, let's say you're at a beach, right? And you're a dude,
right.
you have your swim shorts on, but you have no shirt on. Very normal at a beach for guys to be shirtless. Like, this is normal stuff. So if you're streaming, if you're streaming that, that's fine. But if you're in your home and you take your shirt off on stream, that's against terms of service.
So nudity in my own house is not allowed, but nudity in public is okay.
Yep. Isn't that fun? So, like, apparently it's just super situational, and yeah, it's a lot of it seems to be like case by case basis. So I don't know. Kind of interesting to think about, though.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I guess the way they look at it is like if you're just alone on stream or whatever, it's like it could be construed as like sexual content or whatever. But if you're at like a beach, it's it's normal. Like that's just what you do.
There are quite a few streamers that do straddle that line between being overtly sexual and being and not. I can think of quite a few interesting streamers that do that kind of thing. So
yeah. I don't think anyone wants to see us shirtless anyways, so we're probably good on that front.
You never know.
But it's
people may like to see it.
That's true.
Deleted Vespine hates it when I eat on stream, even when it's in the pre-show. He's commented on it at least 3 times now. Look, you can see him comment on it there. At least they aren't eating this week.
Eating on stream is not against terms of service, though. Thankfully.
I need to find something that I can eat. There's got to be something edible around here.
I think I have crackers or crisps, as you. Oh, wait. In the UK, are crackers a thing? Or do you?
Crackers are crackers.
Crackers are crackers, and then biscuits.
What you call potatoes are crisps.
Crisps.
Yeah, biscuits are what you call cookies.
Cookies. Okay, so biscuits are cookies. Crackers are crackers. Chips are crisps. Got it.
Yep. And our chips are your fries.
Okay, yeah, that's probably the most obvious one. I think a lot of people are aware of that one.
Yeah, because we still have French fries. They're a type of chip, as we call them, or fries, you call them. So yeah.
Interesting. Nebula earlier with a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And Noxygen. Well. Yeah, Chat 11 and Noxygen. Very, very nice. Thank you, guys.
Chad 11 did say, "Woot, a best part of Thursday." It's actually Friday for me, dude. Oh. It's 2 a.m. on Friday morning. Or nearly 2 a.m.
Don't take away from his positive, thoughtful comment, though.
Well, I'm not taking away from the positivity. It's nice that it's the best part of his day. It's just, technically it's Friday. Because, of course, I'm in the future right now.
Yes. Jay's a little on edge right now, which happens when you're in the future.
Thanks. Mr. Keeves as well, with the 5-month streak, saying, "Good evening, gents." Thank you very much, dude.
You know, I think it's probably about time you and I do a drunk stream. Not today, but like in the nearest future, I think we should do a drinking stream.
That sounds good. We should definitely do that.
Yeah, because I think you and I should be responsible enough with alcohol. I feel like it could go over well. Whereas the last time, years ago, when Top Clack tried to do a drinking stream, it didn't go very well.
Asleep?
That's a nice way of putting it.
Big shout out to Slim Dickens with the Twitch Prime sub, 4 months of subs, currently on a 4-month streak, and Jay Shuff as well, gifting 5 Tier 1 subs as well. Thank you very much, dude. That's now 35 gift subs. That's awesome. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Clavier asking Top Clack, who here is the best host? I need to know. Well, it ain't either of us two, dude, so don't worry about that.
I think he's making kind of a joke because I will go around, like, watch other streamers, like, randomly when I have spare time, Clavier being one of them. And, like, every streamer does the same thing, because I'm always on the Top Clack account. Every streamer, like, I'll say something, and every streamer is like, oh, is this Brian or Jay? And instead of replying who it is, I just go, it's the better host, or it's the best host. Right. And I never clarify anything after that.
So now they all know that that's you that's doing that, though, because you've given away the secrets.
Yeah, well, now they know I'm the best host. This is the long con, Jay. I got you good.
No.
He never saw it coming, chat. Never saw it coming.
I just think it's gonna flop.
Yeah. I mean, clearly I'm the worser host, but it's fun to say I'm the better host.
Worser? Interesting. Okay.
Hey, all words are made up. Think about it. Slippery Pete says 24-hour drinking stream. That would be awful. That sounds like a not good time at all.
What do you reckon the longest drinking session you've ever done is, though, Brian? Like, realistically, the longest session you've gone where you've had a drink, at least one drink an hour. Let's say that's the rule. You've had to have at least a drink an hour. What's the longest drinking session you've had?
Probably like 12 or 13.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhere in that sort of bracket as well.
I've never drank for 24 hours straight. That sounds
I've kind of been
awful.
awake for 24 hours and done like 2 6-hour sessions in that 24 hours, or I've done like a few times where it's been 12 hours end to end as a drink, so I go out at lunchtime and get in at 1 o'clock in the morning sort of thing. But yeah, I've never done like a whole 24 hours where it's been non-stop drinking.
Staying up for 24 hours is already hard enough as it is. I mean, alcohol doesn't really help the equation because it just makes you tired and groggy and lethargic. Well, after a while,
feel for me, because Thursday morning I was up at 6:30, going to work as always, blah blah blah, do all that kind of stuff. I've had like an hour's nap, an hour and a half nap earlier on, and then I'm gonna have to stay up after the stream today because, as I said earlier, tomorrow's the first Friday I'm gonna have to actually go into the office in about 9 months. So then I'm gonna be awake all the way through until, well, this sort of time, well, 10 PM sort of time, Friday night for me. So it'll be nearly 36 hours up.
That's pretty rough. I have been up for 36 hours before, 40 hours, maybe even 48, but it was not a good time.
Yeah. Have you ever been awake for that long that you started to hallucinate? Because that's scary.
I don't know if I've ever hallucinated, but at some point you kind of start to... everything kind of feels surreal, like you're not, like, there. It's kind of like a dream. It's lucid, almost.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I don't know if I'd use the word hallucinate. I don't know if I've ever, like, hallucinated something that wasn't real, but it doesn't feel real. But no, that's not fun. I don't really wish that on anyone. I feel like everyone should get the proper amount of sleep when possible.
I think the longest I've ever stayed awake was my mum when she was in the hospice, and I think I probably awake for about 5 days, just getting 5-10 minutes of sleep here and there, and that was horrible after that long. Just couldn't even think straight, never mind do anything else. I literally couldn't even function. I tried to brush my teeth at one point, and I just couldn't even put the brush in my mouth. Just hand-eye coordination was gone all over the place.
Yeah. All the times that I've been up for longer than 24 hours have been due to family illness and death as well.
Yeah,
And it's just like
it's
the word. I remember when one of my grandmas was in the hospital before she passed away. We must have been in the hospital for like 30 hours, like straight, like just in the hospital alone, not just awake, but just in the hospital, awake that long, and just sitting there. Like it's awful, man. It's so bad. All right, enough of this.
Yeah, let's brighten it up a bit. Let's talk about something fun now. That's been depressing. That took a turn for the worse.
Yeah, we're past the proper amount of viewers to actually start the stream, which is 69 viewers. So I'm gonna roll the intro, and then we're gonna get this party started.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, hello and welcome fellow Top Clackers. Thank you very much for joining the stream. You've got myself, Jay, and the wonderful co-host today, which is Brian. He can be the co-host for this week. Just want to say welcome to the show. I hope you're interested in keyboards because we've got a lot of keyboard stuff to talk about this week, guys. So I hope you're ready for that. I hope you're ready for lots of GMK, lots of good interest checks, and a couple of really interesting group buys as well. How are you doing, Brian? How are you feeling today, man?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Thursday, usually my favorite day of the week. Still is, especially when awesome people like Pilot XJ gift 5 Tier 1 subs in the Twitch chat. Thank you so much, man. Mighty kind of you guys.
That is really, really kind. That is really, really kind of him.
Very nice. All right.
Just on that as well, just while we're talking about subs, we'll do it now rather than do it at the announcements parts. But don't forget, it is September. It's the last few days of September, so all subs are half off this month. And if you do drop any bits, if you do the special sub bits, then you'll get an extra. Is it 20% free? I think.
10% for Subway bits.
10% for Subway bits. So yeah, so subs are half off and 10% extra for Subway bits if you choose to donate any of those as well, guys.
Yep. Heck yeah.
Okay. So, how's your mail been this week, Brian? Anything?
Yeah. So I got this beautiful box of air. You can't see it, but I am holding it right now. I'm gonna unbox this real quick.
Yeah, sure. Talk us through it.
So I'm opening it up, and look, there's more air.
Wow.
So. Gondolindrum says GMK Air. Yeah. I just opened my GMK Air with the new Air GMK trays and banderoles. Nice. Packaged with air, boxed in air, shipped via air. And here it is. This is what it looks like, guys. Do you like it?
Nice. Some great air mail. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff. No, but all joking aside, I actually got nothing this week, so it's all Jay today, baby.
I didn't get that much either. But just as an aside, when I used to, my first ever job was working in a fast food restaurant, and what we used to do when anyone joined the companies, we used to send them into the freezer to try and find a box of frozen air, and most people would spend a good 20 or 30 minutes looking for it before they came out and said, I can't find it anywhere, so don't ever fuck that one, guys.
Frozen air? What?
Yeah, frozen air. Yeah, people used to believe it.
People fell for that?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've had a few things this week, mainly artisans. So I got some nice artisans. Here's one to match Kaiju when that GMK set runs, which is quite nice. It's like a little hood which is in the shape of a wolf over the top of her face. I can't remember the name of the sculpt, but that's really nice. I also got my first Etf win of this year. Which is a long time coming. I think it was something like 220 entries without winning.
Wow.
So I got through. Yeah, it just took forever this time. But yeah, so I got my first dental plan, which is really nice in a marbled colorway, which I really like. And that came with a blank as well. And that blank is absolutely sublime. It's not going to focus on camera today, but if anyone's interested, I'll show it off on stream on Sunday. So those came as well. And then I finally got the board that I'm actually using right now as well, which is my JR 806 TKL. Which came earlier on this week. It was in ANSI layout. I converted that quite quickly to ISO, and I'm thoroughly enjoying using it. It's just such a nice board. It is by far the best TKL I own. I'm very, very happy with that.
Wow, by far the best TKL you own.
Right now, yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's just genuinely a lovely board. PCB mount, type's really nice. Yeah, really impressive.
Dang. I've always wanted to try one of those, and I've only heard good things about it.
Yeah, it sounds good, it feels good, it looks good. There's nothing to dislike about it.
Nothing at all?
As Nebula says, the J8 ain't no effing jerk. Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, man. It's just a damn good keyboard. It's just a damn good board.
Nice. Mountain Block donates 222 bits. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, man. We appreciate that.
You are a scholar and a gentleman.
Pilot X-Ray says Kepler, though. I don't own a Kepler. Sorry. I don't have a Kepler, so...
That's true.
Yeah. I have got a few TKLs, but no Kepler.
I'm trying to think of like what TKLs you have that, because obviously your collection is pretty vast. So saying something is the best TKL you own is a pretty big statement. I don't know if you own like 4 TKLs or like 30 TKLs?
I don't know. It was the honest answer. I couldn't tell you how many I got. I just know this is the one I prefer.
Well, you know your collection's pretty insane when you don't remember like everything that you have. So
it's yeah. So I did get it under 100 boards at one point, but it's now crept back up. I think it's over 110 boards at the minute. So I guess I've probably got about 5 or 6 TKLs in there, and something like that. That kind of number probably. Yeah. I think the easiest thing to remember though is I don't have a Jane yet because my Jane V2 hasn't shipped yet, and I don't have a Keycap board to compare it to. So when you consider that those 2 boards are included in my collection,
the two most popular TKLs right now, probably.
Well, it depends on how you define popular, right? Because if you define popular as in how many people have them, or if you define popular as in people want them, I'm not sure I would say they are the most popular. I think that's one word. Maybe the most sought after might be the right way of putting it. But yeah.
Yep. Fair enough.
Tenstrong says, so you aren't constantly using the VEA? No, it is at the side of me though. I do have it to hand, the VEA, because I was showing someone else it earlier on. So I have got the VEA to hand. Or, well, both halves are right here actually. But yeah, I don't use it very often anymore, sadly. Just don't have the time to use all the boards.
Nathan Alphaman subbed with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much, man.
Nice.
Very nice. All right, so let's. How about we roll into some news now that our mail call and announcement is over?
That sounds like a good idea.
And we have some very interesting news today. A lot of really interesting topics, honestly. Starting out with the interest check for, and I did practice saying this before the show. No joke, guys. So it took me a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it's Zplit. You got to really emphasize the Z there. So
Zplit.
It's the Zplit. So this is basically a split Slant. If you're not familiar with the Slant, it is effectively a staggered plonk layout. So it's a four row system and 12 columns. Yep, looks like 12. So it's 4 by 12, but they kind of just stagger it, and here they're splitting it. So he was kind of inspired to do a little bit of a split here on a play on the Slant, which is originally by Zip Ties. This one is done by Le Purple XD. But this is a pretty interesting project. I've never actually used a Slant, so I don't know how much I would appreciate this layout, but I do think it's a pretty interesting idea. One of the things I like a lot about this one, and I thought this was a mistake at first with the render until I read more, but as you can see here, he actually has these being symmetrical. I'm trying to... Yeah, here we go. So these are actually symmetrical here, but the Slant originally would be rotated. So normally you would use them like this. So the stagger is, I guess, a little bit more appropriate, but the way he uses it, and the way you could also use it, is like this. So different options there. I like that. Options, always cool.
Indeed.
So what do you think about this one?
I think this is really interesting. So I have tried a Slant. Ortho isn't really for me, and I know this is kind of like a staggered ortho, but I kind of struggle with this kind of layout. But the board itself was really fun. It was interesting to use. It was nice. It was a fresh take. I really like that. I think this is building on that kind of idea. I think the mirrored image looks really, really good. It looks really neat, really tidy. I think this is a great idea. Yeah, I can't see anything wrong with this at all. Just looking down as well, I know he says that he'll have 11 prototype kits available as well for $50 and plus shipping. I think that's a bargain, to be honest. $50 for something like this. It's pretty good going. Pretty good going.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm assuming that an actual group buy will follow, seeing as how this is actually just an interest check. So, I don't know. Maybe the prototype units will be sold and then the group buy will happen. Who knows? Yeah. That's just what I'm going to assume. But one of the kits does include your PCBs, your top plates, your bottom plates, all the mounting hardware you need, as well as TRS jacks and the controllers, which here are Pro Micros. For an extra $15 USD, he will include a 3D printed high-profile case for both sides, which I'm assuming is what is actually pictured here. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of a PCB skeleton sort of affair. Is what I would guess.
Yeah, the image that shows the purple top and the white base, that's definitely a 3D printed one. So it looks quite neat and tidy. I think it looks good. Yeah, I think this will do well, and it's good to see people trying new things. 10 Strong saying in chat it's not ortho. Well, it's not really ortho, but it's not really proper stagger either. It's kind of like reverse stagger, and it's kind of uniformed in a way. But
yeah, I mean, by default it is staggered. It's just not necessarily the stagger that we're used to.
Correct. It's not standard stagger. It's a non-standard stagger.
Yeah, but it is still a 4x12 board that is Slant inspired, which is, you know, a staggered plonk in a way. So, yep, people just keep adding on their variations of it, and seems to work out pretty well. And the price here seems quite reasonable.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. I think it'll do well. Big shout out to Talisman Solutions for gifting a tier 1 sub to Clavier. 196 gift subs now in the channel. That's nearly at 200, dude. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, man.
That's insane.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in the Zplit, then feel free to check this out. And if you like to zip ties Slant, then this might be something you want to pay homage to it with.
Yeah. Plus, it's just fun to say Zplit.
Zplit.
It's hard to connect the Z and the P, and I probably said it about a dozen times before the show.
You just have to say the Z really long. Zplit.
Zplit.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
It's like a game in itself. All right. Speaking of interesting boards, though, the next topic is the group buy for the Timberwolf, which is currently closed. It did close recently because it did hit the maximum amount of units that he was willing to sell. But as usual, we still want to talk about it anyways because it is still something that happened in the last week.
Yeah, so we're just going to talk through what happened on this group buy, guys, and bring you up to speed with it. So in terms of this, it was 40 units. That was the maximum number of units that we're going to do. The minimum was 25. So it was 25 up to 40, depending on whether the group buy hit 40 units in total or a month had passed in time. So it significantly was not going to run for a month with a board of this well renowned in the community. You know, everyone's kind of heard of this and seen the kind of unusual layouts that it offers. So I'm not surprised that it hit the full 40 within a week or so, which is interesting. So yeah, so I'm pretty happy to see that this is going to get made. What do you think to the group buy itself, Brian? Was this something you joined or something you passed on?
I didn't join it, but I do think it's quite interesting. Obviously, we did cover this when it was in an interest check, and people seem to be pretty split about it. A couple people seem to really like it, and a lot of people seem to not really understand the particular layout options that he went with here. But I feel like the people that did like it really liked it, and obviously that showed here. He hit. It only took, let's see, this launched on the 19th, so it launched 7 days ago. And he already hit the 40 units sold. I think he hit that yesterday. I don't know if he actually says, but I know it.
It was closed yesterday when I looked. Yeah.
Yeah. So it hit 40 units pretty quickly. So obviously there are people that are interested in it, but it is it's a very unique board at the very least. So it is an isolated top mount board. It is plateless, which is also pretty interesting. 7.5 degree typing angle, center USB-C. There is a small internal brass badge that is not a weight. But the fully built weight is 2.75 kilograms, which is about 6-ish pounds, which is pretty darn reasonable for not having a weight or a plate, to be quite honest. So, pretty cool there. So what really made this interesting is the layout itself and the top options that were available. And as you can see in these pictures here, they're all different, and they're all pretty unique in their own way. So you kind of have options like where to put the rotary encoder in the knob. So you have an option up here in the top left, then you also have one here in the kind of middle right area. Then you have this left column that can kind of be adjusted based on how many keys you want there. And of course, these on the right, which are just pretty insane. And I still don't entirely understand the point to have 2 enters on the board, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of the loop on that.
Well, you don't have to use it as an enter key, right? You can program it and use it for anything you like. So,
it's true.
You know, it depends on the use case. It is interesting having the 2 vertical 2U keys there as options in certain places. But you could split, excuse me, you could split both of those out and have them as 2 1U keys if you wanted to as well. I thought it was interesting. It probably wasn't for me. It was just a little bit. too unusual in terms of its stylistic choices for me, but I'm glad that it ran. I think if I had to pick one of them, it would have been with two U keys on the right hand side, and then the rotary encoder on the top left. I think that's how I would have picked it for the board. I'm not sure if you'd have picked any of these layouts, or if you'd have gone with the custom layout.
I don't.
Your own.
I don't know. I don't really need the level of functionality and uniqueness that this board provides.
Sure.
But I can respect it, of course. I probably would have went with the knob on the top left. I think that with the 5 column to the left of the 60% cluster, I think that would probably be what I'd go with. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't really see myself caring that much about any of these particular layouts, but with that said, I do think the board is still a very interesting concept, and I'm glad the group buy went well for him. The starting price of this one was $365, and depending on what kind of layout variation you want, or whether you wanted a more custom one, that price grew a fair amount. So, but $365 starting price, not terribly overpriced, not terribly high. We do have to realize, again, this does not have a weight. It does have a brass badge, but not a weight. It also doesn't have a plate. So I think with that in mind, the price is all right.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's a little bit unusual, the fact that there's multiple different tops for it, irrespective of whether you pick your own or not, kind of pushes the price in that direction anyway, because you've got a few different versions of it and things. So whilst the bases all remain the same and the PCBs are all the same, adding all of those different tops is effectively different SKUs that you have to try and produce as well. So I can appreciate why the price does raise a little bit. But I'll be really interested to see people build these, and if anyone's bought one and wants one building, I'd happily do it for you, because I'm interested to try one of these out at some point.
Yeah, definitely. So he does say that there could be extras and or B stock units available after these ship for anyone that actually still wants one and wasn't able to make it into the group buy on time. So that could be an option for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, pretty cool. Shout out to Penguin, who subbed at Tier 1 for 4 months. Thank you so much. As well as Mr. Petrov, who donates 1,499 bits there. Love that. Thank you, sir. And 159 subbed at Tier 3 for 11 months.
Tier 3? That's amazing.
Yeah,
Crown Sigil as well with 16 months of Twitch Prime subs. So thank you very much for that, John. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much, guys.
Lots and lots of subs today. Everyone making use of that September. It's good to see.
Well, someone earlier said it was over already. But I didn't
really?
I don't have a window open to actually check and look. But why would they end September before the end of September? That seems kind of
odd. I'll have a quick Google.
I don't know. Fazla also subs with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much for that. All right. Well, while Jay Googles that, we're going to move on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it did. It only ran from the 3rd of September to the 24th of September. Oh, I didn't realise that.
Twitch, please. Why would you not do it all month?
Twitch.
Why would you call it September and not run it all month?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh well.
Oh, well.
Tyson Builds, thank you very much for the Tier 2 sub. Thank you for that, dude. That's 9 months of subs. Thank you, dude.
Very nice. Thank you, guys. All right. Next up, we have the group buy for the Norbaforce Mark II. So yes, the Norbaforce has made a return, and it has seen some advancements, some enhancements since the last round. I do currently have a round 1 Norbaforce. I love it. This version is a little bit fancier, so this version actually supports not only the round 1 Real Force 87U, but also the more recent round 2 Real Force 87U. So they do have some different internals there, but thankfully this one will support both of them, whereas the round 1 version only supported the round 1 Real Force 87U. So you have a little bit more flexibility in this one if you wanted one of the new Real Force round 2s that have like the fancy RGB and MX sliders and stuff like that on some of the variations. So pretty interesting. As far as the overall design goes, I don't think there's a ton of aesthetic difference. There is a kind of a different plate here on the underside, though. So originally for the round 1, he used an aluminum plate on the underside. Here he's actually going with galvanized steel, which is effectively just steel coated in a protective layer of zinc. So that's kind of cool. It does add a little bit of extra weight, which is something that is pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see this. I think it was only a matter of time before Norbauer expanded his cases to support the newer Real Force board. So it's really good to see that, and I'm glad that he's released this option. I'm not personally a Topra user, so but I know that a lot of people are. Interestingly, he's also got the tactical finish that needs hand waxing. So if you haven't seen Norbauer's video on how to hand wax your board, maybe that's something you want to check out because it's quite an interesting video.
Yeah,
just into
this. Sorry, go on. This thread is actually a really good read. Whether you want to buy one of these or not, Norbauer is an amazing person, and he's really articulate with his writing and his kind of vocal style here. And it's a really good read because not only does he talk about the actual group buy, but he talks about, as you can see here, this little subtitle here, cost, manufacturing, margins. He really breaks down his entire thought process and ideology here, on why he's doing everything and what what changes have been made and stuff. It's a really good read. One thing that he's changing a lot here is he's swapped the manufacturing completely over to the USA. So in the last round, he had the manufacturing in China, but he had the powder coating finishes done in the US. Now he has moved that entirely over to the US. He doesn't want to deal with China manufacturing at all anymore. He does claim that the consistency and quality is much better at this new US place that he's using. But with that in mind, the prices are going to go up, as you might believe. So, actually, where's the? Let me just open the site real quick. So keep in mind, guys. Previously in the round 1 Norbaforce, I think the cheapest version was somewhere around $260 for the anodized starting finishes, and then it went up quite a bit, starting around $350 or $360 for the powder coated finishes. Here, we see that increase quite a bit further. So the cheapest version you can get for the Norbaforce Mark II is $395. That's the cheapest variant. And that's with a standard housing, not a wind keyless one. Once you get up to the powder-coated options, that moves up to about $440. And then there's also a $480 version for the tactical finish there as well. And he's also doing what he's calling Veracity Steel, I think is how that word is supposed to be pronounced. And that is going to cost you a whopping $1,280. And that is basically steel that has been ridiculously polished by hand. And once again, very articulate in his thread. The reason he's doing this is because he wants a material that, if something happens to the external material, all you have to do is just polish it away. So basically, if you have, let's say, normal aluminum case and you have it anodized or something, you dent it, you scratch it, it's really hard, if not impossible, to return that to its former glory in the same exact way. Whereas if you have a hand-polished steel case, if something goes wrong, you scratch it, whatever, you basically just polish it right out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a very interesting take on this kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Just in terms of the other finishes as well, just want to shout out the VHS finish, that kind of film grain effect that you'll all remember from when you watched VHSs because you're all as old as I am when you were younger. I really like that effect. I think that looks great. It looks almost like a pseudo marble effect, and I think that's really nice to see. Yeah, I think that's a great finish. And interestingly as well, you might want to pay attention to the Palm Desert finish, because we might be talking about something that relates to that later on.
Yeah, I think the finishes on the Norbaforces and the was it the Norba Touch, I guess it was unofficially called the Norba Touch, but those two boards, the finishes that he did on those, particularly the powder coated ones, are amazing. Like the quality is incredible, and they look and feel absolutely incredible and amazing. And I don't think we're going to see anything different here. Obviously, it's not cheap. You're spending at least $395 on this, and most of the options are $440 or more. That's not cheap.
Yeah.
But the quality is going to be there. He is going to make sure of that.
Correct.
And that's always fun to know.
Yeah, one of the things I do want to call out as well is that with these boards you do need a breakout PCB kit so you can get USB on there and everything else. Just in terms of that, I believe that in the previous run you could have a USB-C variant, but interestingly now there is only USB mini breakout boards that are compatible with the RF2 and the 87U boards. So I'm pretty sure that's a change, and that there were more options previously, but now the two options are USB mini only.
Yeah, so originally you got a USB-C breakout daughter board with your Norbaforce. Here, not only is it not USB-C anymore, it's USB mini, it's sold separately. So you do have to still pay for it separately aside from the actual case here. So that's kind of interesting. The reason for that is because it does change based on which family of boards you're using. Obviously, as you can see here, the 87U family, which is the round 1 Real Force, and then the Real Force round 2 family will use a different breakout board there. So
yeah,
there's the reasoning behind that. But man, do these look good. That astrophysical finish is like absolutely nuts. That, the VHS, and I really like the aperture. That was a previous color as well. That looks just stunning in person.
Yeah. I don't think there's a bad finish there. I think they all look good in their own way. So yeah, definitely good to see. Maybe this will tempt me to pick one up. Maybe, I don't know.
You should go for the Veracity Steel.
Yeah, maybe.
Have a $1,500 Topper board. Come on, easy.
Because why not, right?
No big deal.
Yeah, it's just $1,500. It's all right.
It's just $1,500. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'll just charge TalkBack for it, and we'll be fine. That'll be all right.
How about no?
Big shout out to Walker. 15 months subs saying woo. Thank you very much for that, dude. We really appreciate it. So,
yes, thank you so much, man. So yeah, that is the Norbaforce Mark II, which is currently open in group buy format through October 26th. So you got pretty much a month from today to get in on that. So that's cool. They're definitely not cheap. You definitely pay for it, but you'll know that the quality is absolutely there.
Yeah, and if nothing else, then it's just great to read Norbauer's interest checks, because, as you said before, he's fantastic at expressing himself in the written format.
Yeah.
And you know, everything he does is done with care and attention to detail, and he's quite possibly the most detail-focused man I've ever met in my life. So it's definitely worthwhile checking it out, guys.
Yep, definitely worth a read, even if you're not wanting to buy one of these.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to a group buy that actually hasn't started yet, but does start in 3 days. This is the Austin, which is a compact full-size keyboard. I don't necessarily want to call it a compact 1800 style layout, because it's not. But it's kind of a little different, and this picture I feel shows it really well, because you kind of have your full numpad here with the full 0 here. And then you have this kind of column that you wouldn't necessarily normally see on an 1800 style layout. So the idea here is that it tries to bring you the full-size functionality to something that's a little bit smaller than full-size. It is about 2U wide smaller than full-size and about 2U wide larger than a TKL. So you got to get a little bit of a middle ground there depending on what you're after. But it's a pretty nice looking board, and the layout is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting boards. This is by Drifting Bunnies, who most of you have probably seen around Discord at some point or other. Always very friendly guy and good fun to talk to. I'd agree in terms of the design. I think it is a mini full size board in terms of its layout. I would agree on the not call it a mini 1800. I think it looks really good. I think in terms of the layout, it looks really functional, usable. I like the arrow cluster being away from the main board. I like the fact that it's got that separation there, that exploded kind of feel to it. That's really nice, and I like to see that as well. I think the dimensions of the board, the separators between the F row look really good. I think it just looks really, really nice. Everything's nice and even and square, and as it should be. Interestingly, in terms of the plate as well, there is a bit of information on this as well. So the Drifting Bunnies decided to excuse me, not go with gasket mount on this board. Decided to stick with top mount, as that's been proven to be a solid formula. But he's also gone and done some of these really nice and interesting kind of plate dynamic graphs and gradients to show where pressure is relieved on the plate depending on where you press and what the typing feel might be like, and try to even that out across as well. So looking for a really consistent feel. You can see there's probably more flex towards the center of the board as is expected with a top mount board, but because of the flex cuts he's got between the F row and the main board, that really does limit it and make sure that the alpha keys at least have a very even typing feel across them. So lots of work has gone into this, and lots of interesting design features in there as well.
Yeah, so... Sorry, go on.
Sorry, go on. No, go for it.
No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. I was just going to point out that the PCB is designed by the wonderful Gondolindrum, so shout out to him for that. It is a QMK PCB with a center USB-C. And an interesting thing about this is that the PCB itself does support ISO, but unless the plate MOQ meets 10 for an ISO plate, it will not run. However, files will still be available. So,
yeah, which is the right way to do it in my view. You know, I'm an ISO user and I'm an ISO advocate, and I'm all about inclusion, but I don't want vendors to have to pay more, and for group buy runners to have to pay more to support people. So I think this is the right way of doing it, offering the layout on the PCB, and then giving it a chance in the group buy. If it doesn't make it, well, you get an ANSI plate and an ANSI plate, but you'll have a plate file so you can go to Laser Boost, or you can get a carbon fiber made one, or whatever material you want to pick, you can have one made if you do. So it's really nice to see that he's included that as well. So thumbs up and top marks for that.
Yeah. So the included plate is going to be brass. That's the only option for the actual base kit. However, you can add a polycarbonate plate if a little bit more flex is your style. But once again, you can get some release plate files, maybe get something cut a different material if that's more what you're after. The color options are going to be Onyx Black, Sterling Silver, Titanium Gray, and Navy Blue, which I think is a pretty nice array of colors, even for me being 4. I think it's good. You got your three normal colors, as well as something a little bit more vibrant, so I like seeing that. And there's going to be 40 spots available for this one. 40 spots. So this could go very, very fast. And again, it does open in 3 days, 9/29 at 9 a.m. Central Time. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think this will go pretty fast at $475. I think that's a good price for a board of this kind of style. Central USB, nice big brass weight on the bottom. We've clearly got a good eye for design. I think this will do really well. I think it looks great. Yeah.
Also, shout out to using sandblasted raw brass, which is the best way to do brass and keyboards, in my opinion.
Agree. Yeah, got to get that lovely patina over time.
Alrighty, guys. So, very nice stuff there. Make sure to look out for that if that's something you're into. Oh, talk about the price. The price does start at $475, so not the cheapest keyboard in the world, but, we've just seen the HBCP release recently at a $500 price point, too. And with everything that's going on right now, I'd say that this is a fairly normal price for what's offered here. And, of course, there's extra available parts as well.
Yeah, just on the price as well, if you are going to build in ISO, you can forgo the plate and get it a little bit cheaper at $450 instead of $475 as well. So that gives you a little bit of money back and some funds to play with to get a different plate cut in your ISO layout.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so very nice. Moving on to some key sets.
Yeah, key set time.
Let me try to pronounce this one, Jay. So this is an interest check for DDolch.
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 Yeah, I like that.
All right.
DDolch,
so
yeah.
it's one word, right? DDolch. Yeah. It's DDolch.
DDolch.
Joking aside, I don't know if he means DDolch or it's something entirely different. I'm assuming that the D is supposed to stand for dark. As this is, as you can see, effectively a very dark key set that is, I guess, Dolch inspired. I'm going to be totally honest here. I think the name is kind of silly. I do like the way the set looks. I think it could be a very successful set. But Jay and I were talking about this before the show too. When you say Dolch, it's iconic in this community. When you say Dolch, people know what to expect. You put an image in their heads that it's Dolch, and this is not Dolch. It's very nice. I like this, but it's not Dolch. So I would advocate for a change of name personally, but I do like the way the set looks quite a bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the set looks great. I think the style choices, this colorway is really, really nice, and it's absolutely going to be on my buy list if this gets to group buys phase. But I do think that calling it Dolch or mentioning Dolch is kind of a bit of a misnomer for this. It doesn't have those standard Dolch kind of colors. It's a lot more refined. It doesn't even kind of follow the modern Dolch kind of methodology of operating the whole set. Melodet's got a good description in chat. She's saying it's like a step past modern Dolch. It is very much a step past it. It's very interesting. But I do really, really think that this has got a lot of legs. I think it's going to be a great set. Just, maybe it needs a different name.
Yeah, totally agree. But otherwise, I think the set is very, very nice looking. I'd love to see more renders, maybe in different lighting.
I want to see a render on a dark board, to be honest. This is all on one board in white. What would this look like on a 60-65%, something like that? Maybe PC, maybe a darker board, something in a dark grey, perhaps, something like that. I'd like to see in more backgrounds, more lighting. As you say, Brian, I think we definitely need to see that. But I'm interested to see more. So yeah,
it looks.
I'm on the
even on a whiteboard, it looks really good though. Which is odd to me because I feel like darker sets tend to not look quite as good on like pure white boards.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But, so, interestingly enough, he doesn't say what manufacturer he's going to be working with here. So this could be GMK, could be JTK, could be Enjoy PBT. The list goes on. However, he is using color codes for GMK, so could be a clue that's going to be
GMK in the renders.
Yeah, clearly GMK in the renders. But he left it out of the title, which I thought was kind of an interesting touch. Because obviously McNaughton has been around for a while. He's not an idiot. He probably left it out for a reason. It wasn't a typo or a mistake. So I feel like there might be something going on there. Like here it is in GMK, but it might not actually be in GMK. Regardless, looking forward to this set. Though I would hope for a rename because it just doesn't feel Dolch to me.
Completely agree. But that being said, I think we're both on the same page that we really think this set's got a lot of potential. It could look really good. We want to see it on more boards. We definitely want to see more of it. So yeah, definitely interested to see that. Talisman Solutions shouting out that this is just another way of colouring Olivia, which I agree.
Yep. Yeah, I mean if you change the colours around, it's a completely direct 100% copy of Olivia.
Yeah, so it's like if you take Olivia and then you remove those colours and you put in your own colours. And then you come this set. It's just a copy.
I really don't think this joke ever gets old either. Honestly, it's literally always funny. Regardless, we don't really have any other information on it, so waiting on more for that. But can't wait to see this hit group buy format.
McNaughton, show us more, man. Show us more. We want to see more renders and other things. So show us more. And
if you liked this interest check, Jay, boy, do we have more interest checks for you today. Quite a few, I might add.
Where are we going next, Brian?
We're heading over to a confirmed GMK. This is the interest check for GMK High Castle by Garrett of Dixiemech. And this one is based on the show The Man in the High Castle, which is an Amazon show. I have not seen the show. I've seen people recommend it to me, but that's about as far as I've gotten. But he has kind of a brief summed up version if you haven't seen the show. So I'll just read the first line because it tells you pretty much everything you need to know. The Man in the High Castle is an American alternate history television series depicting a parallel universe where the Axis powers win World War II. So, bit of an alteration there. And this is... I'm not going to lie. I really don't like the way this set looks. I've never been a fan of having mods of different colors on each side, on either side. I've seen that done before a few times, and I just never think it's successful.
I fully agree, and I think just in terms of the show that this one references, I've read the book, but I've never seen the show. So you know, again, I'm basing everything that I know on the book. But I can see the inspiration. I can see how it works. You've got the Japanese on one side. You've got the German forces on the other, which display the white and the red keys on the modifiers, and then you've got the neutral zone in the center. I kind of get that. I understand the inspiration, but for me, I agree, Brian. I don't think this set works together. I think there's just too much difference in the modifiers, and I do feel that the white modifiers stand out more than the red ones for some reason.
Yes,
I think it's just brighter.
It's much brighter. I think the colors are fine. I think the colors used here are fine. I just don't like the way it's arranged. I don't like having different colored modifiers on one side versus the other. Could be very personal, obviously. A lot of people could absolutely love this, but
yeah, that's exactly. It's just our opinions. Yeah.
We're just two guys, all right? We're just two guys. That's it. So.
Yeah. The other thing I did want to touch on this is right at the very top. There's an edit on this already. So Dixie has made an update to this already. So I just want to cover what that was, if anyone missed it, and shout that there's no drama here or anything like that. Just going to literally tell you the facts. So Dixie actually had another set which had some interesting novelties in here. And they had imagery that was used in the show that was also used back during World War II for the Axis powers. And some of those may have been chosen in slightly poor taste, and I think this wasn't Dixie trying to do that on purpose, very much so. Brian has a good quote for this, which he'll say in a second, but it very much wasn't Dixie trying to upset anyone. It was more of just a lack of knowledge across how different people in different areas of the world might perceive that. So he has removed that. He's going to rework novelties and take that part of the inspiration away. Absolutely the right move to do. And he's made an apology for that as well. So he's quickly realised from the feedback, and there is some feedback in the thread if you guys want to read through that. So I just want to call out that Dixie's reacted to that really quickly. He's done the right thing. He's pulled the kit that's causing the consternation within the community, and he's made an apology for that immediately, and is just progressing with the actual base kit now as well. So Brian, what was that quote you had earlier on that was really good that we talked about before the show?
I had a quote. Did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Did I? Oh, was it Hanlon's razor?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So if those of you not familiar, Hanlon's razor is an adage that states that you shouldn't attribute to malice, which can be explained by stupidity. However, I don't mean to call Dixie stupid here. That's not the goal here. But the idea is that if you've ever met Dixie, you've ever talked to him, you know that he doesn't have malicious intent. You know that he's not, actually trying to be like racist or anything here. It was just I think he just didn't do any research, honestly, and he kind of just was like, here's this. Then some people that actually knew what was going on were like, hey, hold on a second, and then he was like, oh, okay, I get it, and then he just took it away. So the thread is actually pretty civil, all things considered. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And yeah, Dixie is not like that in real life. He would not have meant to have used offending imagery or anything else like that. That's not the type of person he is, and it was absolutely just a misstep from him, which is what he makes clear right at the very top of the interest check. So, big shout out to Dixie for making the right moves there and learning fast from his mistakes, which is the most we can ever ask for in this community. And the other thing I want to say as well is that the interest check when I read through it earlier on, even when people were pointing this out, fair play to the community. People were being really, really mature about this. There was no falling out. There was no, people weren't jumping on bandwagons or blaming people or anything like that. It was a really mature conversation about how these were inappropriate and how they shouldn't be there. And so I just wanted to say, well done to the community for keeping that one, above board, really level-headed, and it was very interesting. So, yeah.
Yep. Anyways, back to the set at hand. Final thoughts on this one? Not really loving it. Not really loving it.
Yeah, it's not for me.
It's very ambitious, and I can respect that, but not for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. Very much so. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next interest check. Lots of interest checks for key sets today, guys.
Is this GMK as well, this one, Brian, or are we moving away from GMK?
No, I decided to mix it up just a little bit here. So we'll take a quick break from GMK here to talk about some MAXKEY, which we haven't really been seeing a whole lot lately. So this is an interest check by Bugger, I think is how it's pronounced, for Virtual War. And this one is what? Am I wrong?
I think I'd say Buger. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I honestly don't know. Regardless, he does have some pictures here of some renders and some breakdowns. This one, is again not for me. This one is a little too busy in my eyes. I think the colors could work, but I feel like we're just seeing busier and busier key sets lately.
Yeah, so I think for me on this one, the colors are nice. I like the colors, but it does remind me of kind of almost like an inverted version of the Merlin set that we looked at last week, Gold Rush, in terms of the colorway, what were the modifiers and now the alphas, and vice versa. In terms of the kit design, I think the kit design is fairly well thought out. There's lots of different options and kits available. Not making use of all of the molds that MAXKEY offer, because of course, don't forget now, they do offer things like ISO and ortho user support, so they do have new molds for those as well. So there are more opportunities within there, although it has picked up on the Zplit Spacebar kits. But I think it's fine as a set. It's okay.
It's fine.
I don't think it's one for me. Yeah.
It's fine. The kit breakdown's all right, but obviously we don't have prices for any of this yet, so we can't really touch on that, unfortunately. One thing I thought was kind of interesting is down here at the bottom, he says the EU proxy is going to be Kono, which I thought was kind of strange.
Very interesting. Yeah, it is interesting because Kono's a US store.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, Kono is definitely US based, so interesting that they're going to be the EU. Not that they can't ship internationally, obviously, but generally for a proxy, you choose people in that country or region. So,
yep,
definitely kind of interesting there. But yeah, so that is a virtual war. A little too busy for me, but hey, a lot of people might like that.
Interestingly, just a little bit further down the set, in the interest check, there is a post by Home Row Co., which is reply number 19, where it does show a set of SA Amber screen, which ran a few months ago on drop. I think it was right at the very beginning of the year, which does look remarkably similar. I hadn't realised that SA Amber screen was so close in terms of its look and feel to this until I've just seen that.
That does look very close. Wow. All right. Yeah, definitely something to consider. Yeah, even to my colorblind eyes, that looks very close. Yeah.
Yeah. And interesting it's going with MAXKEY, you said, as well, rather than SP. Although Signature Plastics have had some issues, and Gundar Lindrum is just calling out that it's QC issues as well. So for those that you don't know, Signature Plastics have shipped out 2 sets recently that have had incorrect stab positionings on certain keys, namely the ISO Enter key, so DSA Scientific and DSS Dolch. Which is the new keycap profile. The ISO keys, they use the BAE stab mounting positions and SEM positions inside the cap, rather than using the traditional 2U stabilizer keys as well. So, just a little snippet of information there for you guys.
I didn't actually know that, so that's good to know. Yeah, I mean,
you don't use ISO, Brian.
that's probably true. I imagine the obviously the queue for MAXKEY must be much shorter. But also, they might be able to just turn out key sets faster than SP, because SP, for those that don't know, actually has a really, really slow production line, believe it or not. They only make like 2 keys at a time or something like that. It's something
for SA, yeah.
For SA in particular. It's outrageously slow, all things considered.
2 machines. I was talking to Melissa about this at Seattle Meetup. Basically, it's 2 keys per machine. I think she said they've got 2 machines, so at any one time they're only ever producing 4 keycaps. And if you imagine that takes a couple of minutes for 4 keycaps, and then the average set's probably got 150 keys in, it's quite a long time to produce a full keycap set.
Yeah. So maybe MAXKEY is kind of more the answer. It's possible they can churn out keys faster. Though don't quote me on that, because I don't actually know. I have no idea what their actual machine capabilities are.
Don't know, but given they're based in China, they could probably have the labor to run 24/7 to churn out keys to get them produced. Yeah, it's probably easier to find the labor resource to be able to do the work than it is in something that's in the US.
Eskimojo is saying, don't GMK do 3 keys at a time?
No.
GMK definitely does more than that, but they also just have more machines.
4. Yeah, they have 4 and 3 machines, so they're doing 12 at any one time, and they're actually spinning up another machine as well, a 4th machine as well, so they'd be able to do 16 at any one time. So,
yeah, I mean, even doing 12 at one time is, assuming that it's the same time frame for each batch or whatever, even doing 12 keys at a time is 3 times faster than SP doing 4 keys at a time. So
yeah. And I think when I was speaking to Andy about this, I think for 1U it's 4 keys, and then for anything bigger, it can be 3 keys or 2 keys depending on what they're doing. And then Spacebars are singular. I think that is what he said. So in terms of production, but of course you produce far fewer Spacebar keys than you do 1U keys. So
yeah. Yep. Anyways, without getting too lost in this topic, let's move on to the next interest check. Mixing it up a little bit again, we have JTK here. We don't see a whole lot of JTK, so this is always kind of interesting to see. And this is the interest check for JTK. I'm hoping I pronounced this right. Vostok-1.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Obviously I don't have an accent, presumably Russian accent. So
I think you need to roll the V.
Yeah, because it's kind of like how I know it's in Spanish. I think like V and B are very similar as well. So they that's probably why this is the actual spelling in Russian, presumably.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that correctly though, because there's no way I'm going to get it
right. Just calling it Vostok is fine, I think. Yep.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, tell us about this one, Jay.
Well, first of all, I want to just call out 2 things. So again, this is by Buja, who we saw from the intro track earlier on, but this one has been posted by JTK themselves. So it's JT Keycaps, for those of you who don't know, is JTK. That's where the initialism comes from. But effectively, this is based on the first spaceflight of the Vostok program, which was the first crewed spaceflight in history, for those that don't remember. So very, very similar in terms of its inspirations to GMK Guren, which came out a few years ago. So lots of heavy Soviet influence on this particular set. In terms of the set itself, it is triple shot. So on those Alpha legends, where you can see you've got the Latin legends, and you've also got the Cyrillic sub legends, it is triple shot. So you will see all 3 different colors produced by ABS plastics. And then you've got the standard modifier keys, as well as a ton of different novelties on this as well. So a lot. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm still losing my voice from being ill last week. But lots of different keys, lots of different sets based on this one. Interesting as well. This will be the first set to use, as far as I'm aware, it'll be the first set if it runs to use the ISO keys that JTK have now produced molds for as well. So it'll be interesting to see what those look like, which might make this something I have to pick up just for that. So yeah, it's really interesting. Lots of other different sets as well. So there's a standard alpha set as well without the sub legends. There's a ton of novelty and accent keys. That set is absolutely huge. There's keys for everything in there. There must be 40 keys in that. It's a very, very interesting novelty set. What do you think to this, Brian? Are you enjoying this, or?
I like the base colors. I actually do like the base colors. The base set itself, I think, is pretty good. It's something I would use. The novelties are really over the top. For me, they're a little too busy. I'm not a big fan of them. That's just me. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. What about you?
So my thoughts on this one are that I'm not a fan personally. I really want to see it, and I probably will pick it up just because it'll be the first set that runs on JTK with ISO keys, and I want to check those out. But for me, this feels like a bit of a bastard love child between GMK Guren and Jukebox, SA Jukebox. It kind of feels like a mashup of those 2 keys, and I just don't see it working really well. But I do like the Cyrillic sublegends, so yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. All right, so that is pretty interesting. We do actually already have the proxy info, which is kind of interesting. So we have novel keys in America. We have mykeyboard.eu for the EU, obviously, and then Z Frontier is handling the Asia orders. So I already have proxies up. There's no date up though, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's ready to go yet. Yeah, I didn't see a date anywhere, but yeah, it looks like it is going to run. So it is going to happen. Yeah, we'll have to just see how it comes out.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. All right, moving right along. Thankfully, we're back to GMK.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, I know you guys are worried. Alright, so we have an interest check here for GMK Function Keys by Holy Pantalones, and this is clearly an add-on kit of sorts in a variety of colors. CR, N9, and L9. So, sorry, U9. So CR, N9, and U9 are the 3 colorways proposed here. So obviously this is the most popular black that you'd see on sets like white on black. And then the N9 is for, what is that used in?
DDolch.
That's right. Yep. And then the U9 is for is more beige. So that's like the OG Cherry and 9009.
Yep.
So this, what do you think about this one? I thought this was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like this idea. I think it's great. Those keys are often, missing. So F13 key for all the Jane CE buyers. Yeah, that's definitely good to see. But yeah, just having optional keys such as FN for caps lock. I know a lot of people now put an FN key on caps. And a lot of sets don't have stepped options as well, so it's really nice to see those. And this is really about just being able to have keys that say function and put them wherever you want on the board, so that your legends more match up with the type of function key you might be using. So I'm really interested in this. I'll probably pick up a set. I'm not sure if I didn't read it through to see if it's actually going to be that all 3 will become as part of one kit, or if you have to buy each kit in separately. I don't know if you saw that anywhere, Brian.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, but I'll definitely pick this up because I think it looks it's a great idea, and you can't have enough keys for those kind of sets, in my opinion.
Yeah, and in theory, this is not going to be a very expensive kit. We could probably estimate this around the $25 or $30 mark, if I had to guess.
Yeah, if they're each individually, I would say it's probably around that mark. If it's all 3 kits together, I would imagine it's a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's probably closer to 100 if it was all 3 together. Yeah, so interesting enough, this is actually, it's row 1, 3, 4, and 5 here, so we're finally seeing some FN keys in row 5 as well.
Which is good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about the caps lock key, though. What's the idea behind the caps lock here?
I think a lot of sets just have full caps lock on them. It's very rare we see caps as just the word caps.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's the idea behind it. Usually we get either the purse symbol or the arrow symbol, or we get caps lock, or we sometimes get stepped control, which is kind of interesting. For me, they could probably leave the caps and stepped caps out of this and just do it with all the function keys, and then those top row 1 keys as well, including the F13 is a really big brain move in my opinion, just because so many boards are going to start to support that soon.
Yeah, I feel like all the keys make sense in this except for the caps. I feel like he just did that because he's like, man, I'm really sick of seeing caps lock on the key.
Yeah, maybe, or he just really dislikes that purse symbol or something.
Alternatively, I don't remember exactly which sets have it, but I know I have at least one, I think. Instead of doing a caps or a caps lock key, do a lock key. I like seeing that quite a bit.
Yeah, I can't think what sets do that now.
I'm sure something I know I have. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it is, because I know I have something with that. Maybe chat can correct us too, because they're pretty good about stuff like that. But having a lock key always makes me happy. All right.
Yeah, so, I'm looking. I can't find them. The only one I can find is minimal, which has got the caps key, so it just says caps.
It just says caps.
That was his inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Royal Alpha, or not Royal Alpha. Oh, maybe that one too. I think it's. I have to go to my closet to get it, which I'm not going to do on stream. But I think it's TA90.
I have Royal. Oh, it might be TA90. I do have Royal Alpha here actually. All the white mods at least. Oh gosh, I don't push my chair out of the way. Let me see if I can find it really quickly in here. Probably can't. Oh, it does. There we go. There it is. So, Royal Alpha, there's the lock key.
Yes! Yes! Lock key. Love it. Absolutely. Rub out, also a good one. But I mean, lock.
Yeah, rub out's a great
rub out's a good one. But I mean, lock is a little bit more. I feel like lock is really good because it's a little bit more traditional, but elegant at the same time. It's not too in your face like a rub out key. But I think the rub out key though.
The lock key comes from old typewriters where it used to lock the keys into the different positions. It used to have a physical change in the board, so rather than it just putting caps on, which we call it caps lock from a digital perspective, but or from from a software perspective. But when it used to be the old typewriters, it used to have the big bar arms that used to flip up and down. It used to actually shift you to a separate layer on there. Like physically, gears would move when you press the lock key, and it would move the whole board round so that you would only be able to type on the on the capitals as well. So that the lock key literally locked the whole machine into a new setup. So, yeah.
Very, very nice. All right, yeah, so consider this. Hopefully this is coming pretty soon. He's still contacting GMK for pricing and such, so...
Yeah, no vendors as well, as proxies as yet as well, so it'll be interesting to see where that runs. Yeah.
Yep, so we'll get there. I'm sure that'll be coming soon. Next up, we have another GMK interest check. This one by, I'm going to hopefully not butcher this name, Zynororius?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I guess that's how I'd say
it. Probably something in that ballpark. So this is an interest check for GMK Sixes, which is effectively a reversed GMK Nines, which is a group buy that ran back in April and is actually shipping now. As you can see in this picture, this is a real picture of GMK Nines.
Yeah, I have my set just here as well.
Obviously, you can compare that. You can compare that to one of these renders of GMK Sixes, which is effectively just the colors reversed here.
Yeah, and it is interesting as well because the modifier keys in GMK 9s actually are the same as this effectively. So the old the accent.
The accent keys, not the modifiers.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah, let me just see if I can grab them actually really quickly because I do have these.
Well, he also does. Yeah, he does say that, and he does post a picture of that. So this is his picture of GMK 9s, and then this accent is the reverse, which will be the color of GMK 6s. So, yeah,
it almost looks brown in that picture. Does GMK 9s, which is really, really weird.
It's not a very good picture.
Yeah.
This is a cell phone pic in not very good lighting. Overexposed. You can tell he has kind of a lamp off here to the left somewhere.
Yeah,
Not a great picture, but, you know, he's just trying to give you the idea. But obviously we have some renders here as well. And, you know, these are tried and true colors. A lot of people like these. 9s, you know, a fairly successful set. And I bought 9s. I like this one as well. I'd probably buy this as well, if I'm being totally honest. I think it's nice. It's uniform. It's clean. There's not a whole lot going on. It's just classic.
Yeah, it's a must buy for me as well. I think just because I think it looks nice and simple, demure, nice and easy to get on with. And as Nathan Alphaman said, if you got a split keyboard like my VA, which I showed earlier on, you could run GMK Sixes on one side, and you could run GMK Nines on the other side, and have GMK 69s.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You got me. Nice. Just as this gift says. All right. So yeah, effectively just the reverse of GMK 9s is GMK 6s. And he does have permission from Amir, who was the designer of GMK 9s. And he also has permission from Tom Burry, because I guess one of his upcoming sets is kind of close to that as well. So... cool. Good on him for asking permission. Now it seems like it's going pretty well. So yeah, must buy for you, Jay. I think it's a must buy for me as well.
Yeah.
I love that color, man. It's so good.
Yeah, it's such a nice color. Such a nice color. Beige, man. It's classic.
Yeah, beige is like the best color for keycaps, I feel like.
Yeah, just give me the beige, man. Give me the beige.
All right. Good stuff.
Okay.
Yep. So let's move on to yet another GMK interest check. This one with a little less info. This is an interest check for GMK Guren. I'm assuming it's not actually called Guren IC. I'm assuming it's just called Guren, and maybe he kind of mixed up his wording here a little bit. But this is by Blatant MP4, which is a hilarious username. And let's open up the renders, shall we? So I looked at these before, obviously, and these are pretty clearly done on keycaprenders.com, which is Pingu's free service. Great idea, great service. The problem is keycaps and the renders come out like this, with this kind of like, I don't know, pearlescent metallic finish.
Yeah.
Which just looks bad. It's unfortunate. I hope they can get that fixed in the rendering service, because then it'll just be like really, really much better. But
yeah,
the idea here, you can still kind of understand it a little bit.
I have to be honest. I think if you've got to the point where you're gonna run an IC, KeycapRenders.com is great for just giving you an idea of what a set's gonna feel like. But if you're ready to run an IC, then you want to get something that shows people what your actual inspiration is going to look like and what your thoughts are going to look like. And you really should be at that point paying someone to do a render. You know, whether you hit up ABEC or UB or a Blotsky or MaxSurfy or Janglad or whoever you want to hit up. You know, there's plenty of people out there that do renders at all different price points. You can just get one and pay, you know, $20 for it or whatever it is. You know, it doesn't have to be expensive. But just to show what the potential of the set is, because Keycap Renders is just for using it as an idea in your head rather than for, you know, getting something to show other people as well. So I would just say that. I'd be also interested to know what the inspiration behind this set is and where the Guren comes from, because that's not something that I'm aware of.
I can tell you that, and I wish he added it in. Actually, I'm going to refresh because I haven't refreshed it since the show started. So just to see if he added it in here. So he didn't add it in here, but I think somewhere in right here. So later on in the thread, he does say that it's the character Guren from Naruto. So if you're familiar with the Naruto series / universe, Guren is a character in that series, and she's kind of like a. I have watched Naruto. I'm familiar with this. I'm trying to find a way to word it into words that people will understand that haven't seen it. Basically, she's kind of like this magic user that uses crystal magic. She can like form crystals and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure she had like pink hair or something like that. So I think the inspiration here is kind of going off that. Although I don't really get that feel when looking at this, but again, could just be the renders. I've watched a lot of Naruto. I'm a big fan of anime, so
yeah.
This one not really doing it for me.
Yeah, some of the other interesting things in this interest check as well is that he also has a price. He's aiming for around $130 to $170, which is a pretty big margin. But given the fact that he doesn't mention that he's spoken to any vendors, it tends to suggest that, you know, he may not have a handle on whether that price point's achievable or not. And we have to remember now that that GMK is only working with vendors. They're not working with individuals like they used to back in the early days of interest checks and group buys. So it will need to be run through a vendor. So it's interesting that he's already talking about pricing when there's no kit selections, there's no vendors mentioned or anything like that. I think that's probably jumping the gun a little bit, and those things need to be worked through before we start talking numbers.
Yeah. So here's what you need to actually improve your interest check here. First off, have the inspiration in the main post. Don't put it in another comment that someone had to ask you about. Put it in the main post. Exactly. Second, embed the images. Don't just put an Imgur link. Actually put the images in the thread itself. Third, get some better renders. Like Jay mentioned, KeycapRenders.com is great for giving you an initial idea. It's not great for trying to actually advertise a product, especially the way you're actually trying to get it to look. Because KeycapRenders.com is not going to be completely accurate for that. No render necessarily will be, but KeycapRenders.com, probably the least of the bunch.
Yeah, you have to remember you're trying to sell your set here. You're selling your idea to get people interested so that you can actually sell and have the kit produced. And not having the right marketing for that is not acceptable in the current status today. Yep. 4 or 5 years ago, this would have been fine for an interest check, but today, in 2019,
you can't,
we're not there now anymore.
You can't do this anymore. You have to, like, this is as much an advertisement as it is an interest check. Like Jay said, you're trying to sell your idea. You're trying to pitch this to people. And if you half-ass it, there's a good chance that's how the group buy is going to go too. It's just going to be half-assed.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, next up on the list of things you need to do, consider doing a to-do list on here. So like where you are in the process, what you've done so far, and what you still have to do in order. We see that in almost every interest check these days, and it's fantastic. You know exactly where people are. And then you can start getting information like vendors to go through. Always great. Price, you don't really have to worry about quite yet on this early of an interest check, especially because most people that are going to be interested in stuff like this are going to know the ballpark price of what they're going to be spending on this because people buy GMK sets. We know that they're going to be...
you need a vendor to input on the price as well. You can't define a price without speaking to your vendor in the first place. They're going to help set a price.
Yeah, until you have the kit breakdown that you're gonna use, the MOQ you need to meet, and the vendor you're gonna be working with, pricing doesn't matter. You have to have those things first. So,
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel for him. I feel like the set could have potential, but we just need all those things updated, and then maybe it can be better. And
I'm not going to give a personal opinion on it because it's just using Keycap Renders, but it's like the base kit that Keycap Renders gives you. It gives you one option. There's no other option to change keys or to show what base kit you want. It's literally just the standard base kit. There's nothing else there. So this might not even be what Blatant MP4 actually wants to put in his base kit, because you can't change that as part of Keycap Renders. So I think having a proper base kit design, subsequent kit designs, what are the child kits going to look like, building those into the interest check as well, I think that's definitely needed.
Nebula brings up a good point. He asks, but this is an IC, not a group by announcement. Are we expecting too much from this point in the process? I would say no. At this point, you have to be as competitive as possible because there are so many people putting out interest checks. I mean, we have what, like 9 this week, or 10 or 12 this week, or whatever. We have 10 to 14 GMK sets running every single month lately. You have another quadruple that are in interest check every month, basically. You have to be able to sell your idea. You have to be able to get people invested in some way. It can't just be like it's not as easy as it was before. You can't just throw it out and be like, hey, how do you guys feel about these colors or whatever? And then everyone's like, oh, okay, that's cool because it's the only GMK set we're going to see this month. Like the times are changing.
Exactly, the times are changing. The thing is now, most people in the community, if they open up this thread, they're going to see, well, there's no images there, there's nothing to engage my attention, there's so many other GMK sets that I can click on that are in interest check that are going to give me images straight away and more information straight away. People just aren't going to look at it. I mean, like if you look at the comments on this, it's basically people asking a ton of questions because there's just nothing in there, and there's 10 or 12 responses on the IC, and that's kind of it. It needs more information in there to do well. This is all about marketing and fighting against your competition because there are so many GMK sets. Whether you want to see it that way or not, they are your competition, and you have to do well against them to stand any chance of making it through to group buy.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's only been 8 replies on this post, and half of them are the OP anyways. So, and I just refreshed that. So, it is a fresh interest check. It's only a couple hours old. Let's be fair here. But the point still stands. You have to be competitive, even with your interest checks these days. Look at how amazing a lot of the interest checks are these days that we cover on the show. A lot of them are amazing, like really, really good. Like they could go into group buy like just weeks later, and it would be totally fine. They'd have stuff figured out. You can see that there's an idea there. You can see that there's passion. They actually want to run this key set. They want to get you invested, and it's much easier to get invested when you have all that good stuff that we're used to seeing in interest checks these days. And this feels too half-assed.
If you want to see what a good interest check looks like, go look at one of Janglad or Dixie's interest checks. Usually they're really good. The 90091, for example. Go look at GMK Dracula. Go look at GMK Nord. Those are some of the ones we've seen recently. Go look at GMK Cafe.
Yugo. GMK Yugo.
Yugo, yeah. Some amazing interest checks that we've seen over the last couple.
Like, I'm going to buy Yugo just because of how much I like the interest check. If they just slapped a render of Yugo on a post and was like, here's some images, and then it was like the rest of this interest check, basically, I probably wouldn't have cared. I probably wouldn't buy it. But I'm going to buy GMK Yugo because how much I love the interest check and how well laid out it was.
Yeah,
so obviously I'm a small sample size of one, but when you get people invested, when you reach out to actual like people's emotions, the entire game has changed. You're not just selling a set, you're selling feelings, you're selling emotions. And, this is a bad example on this set, potentially. But, the idea is there. Let people see it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Enough of that rant. Let's move on.
Just before we move on, though, Blatant MP4, if you're watching, dude, we're just trying to help, man. We don't want to, upset you or offend you. We're just trying to help. This is all supposed to be constructive criticism, not us just having a go at you. So please don't feel that way.
Yeah, we try to remain as neutral and unbiased as we possibly can on the show. I have no idea who you are, so we're just covering things as we see them and what we would change. But definitely, like Jay mentioned, constructive criticism. That's always what we're aiming for. I'd love to see you fresh up this interest check and get it on par with a lot of the other interest checks out right now, and I think it would have a lot better chance of succeeding.
Yeah, just to be clear on one thing you said there, Brian, we're neutral and unbiased until we're giving our opinions, because then they're our own opinions.
Yes,
so when we make it clear it's our opinion,
we try to Yeah, we try to make it clear that's our thoughts. Which is why you see, like, Jay and I say stuff like, personally, or in my opinion, or this is how I feel 800 million times every single episode. That's why we do that. Anyways, let's move over to the desert. The Palm Desert, 1968 to be specific. This is an interest check by Norbauer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this one, Jay?
Yeah, so the second interest check from Norbauer. He's been a busy boy this week. I'm not sure I can describe Norbauer as being a busy boy. That feels like I'm doing him a massive disservice. But yeah, he's posted up another interest check here. Now, this is looking, and as his title says here, it's got a subtitle. It says, a key set embodying the spirit of modernism in the Arabic-speaking world. Now, again, if you want an interesting read, it's well worth reading through all of this. But effectively, what he's trying to draw here is he's trying to look at an Arabic crossed with a Latin legends set here, and all based around that whole 1960s, late 1960s kind of travel and kind of Arabic aspect as well. So heavily inspired by the films of the time as well. If you think you've got films like Lawrence of Arabia and all of that kind of thing coming out at this sort of time, and he's tried to go back and look and try to really emulate that and bring that back into the set as well. So there's a ton of inspiration up here, and I really do like how Norbauer puts like mood boards up as well. So he's putting up images that really invoke the feel of the set and where his inspiration came from. And even though the images are black and white, you can imagine if they'd been coloured, what that might look like. If someone went through and recolored these, or if you were there at the time, you can imagine kind of the tones and the shades and the colours that you'd experience in this kind of environment. So it's really interesting to read through if you guys do that. There's also a lot of description around the fonts that he's chosen as well. So there's a specific Arabic font that was designed. I can't find the name by Nadine Shaheen, who created an adaptation of the new Helvetica typographic aesthetic and turned it into Arabic. So that's where you see these Arabic legends come from. So these are very different to anything else we've ever seen in Arabic before within the community. So if you think CRP or anything else that's done Arabic, this is very much different in terms of its own font. The main font as well is also something that kind of mirrors that and has a kind of modernist feel to it, or a postmodernist feel to it, and that's the Futura font for the main Latin legends as well. So lots of interesting stuff there. That whole kind of dusty, sandy kind of feel, because it's based on the Arabic countries and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to see. I think personally that this looks really, really nice. I'm really interested to see it. It's going to be dye sublimated work, so it's going to run with Signature Plastics, and they're going to do the dye sub for this. And there's some Pantone chips as well that Signature Plastics have already color matched for Norbauer as well, so you can see what they're going to look like too. What do you think this, Brian?
I don't entirely know what I think so far. So like we mentioned earlier, I think Norbauer is amazing at articulating himself, and obviously, like you can see here, he has paragraphs and paragraphs of what's going on, his ideology behind it. He has tons of pictures. The problem for me is you don't have any renders. I need some renders. I really do. And Norbauer is a very dear friend of mine, but that doesn't save him from my opinions. And you gotta have renders. I have no idea what the set looks like. Like this is not what the set is gonna look like. This is a very, very vague base example of what you can kind of expect of like the typography and stuff. But when you actually get renders, it's gonna look pretty different. So I gotta have renders. I gotta see some professional renders. So I will reserve my judgment for that. Otherwise, I think the interest check is very good, aside from that one big glaring issue.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential in this set. I've even commented that on there that I'd like to see this as well. And with it being with Signature Plastic, there's a lot of opportunity in terms of kit design and making sure that coverages are available and stuff as well. I think this will look great. I'm sure Norbauer will do good work and it'll match his vision entirely. We just need to see what that vision is. To Brian's point, we need to see something better than just a KLE layout.
This is the same problem I had with his last key set interest check too. What was like 1992 or whatever. The one that's like 90s
after
themed.
School 92.
After school, yeah. Which is an amazing idea, and the interest check is great, but then there were like no renders. So it's like you can't sell me an idea. I don't know what it looks like. Like you're building all this up and you're doing a great job of it, and then there's just like it just drops off after that because we don't see any renders, and it's a big deal. You gotta have renders. You gotta.
Yeah. Agree.
I love you, Norbauer, please, but you gotta have renders.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see renders soon. But do check that out. Just read through it, guys, because it is worth a while having a read of that. There's a lot of interesting information in there as well. So please do go have a read, and hopefully we'll get some renders soon.
Yep, definitely. I am hoping so as well. All right, moving out of the realm of key sets. Well, kind of, I guess. This is still a keycap in essence, but not necessarily a key set per se. So this is an interest check for aluminum Spacebars in 6.25U and 7U in various colors, which I thought was kind of interesting. So this is run by Victor MTB, who is actually the same. This project is done by the same people that brought us the recent Honeyboard 60, which I have a prototype of in my hand here. This was my last build stream on Friday. If you guys missed it, it's up on YouTube and Twitch, of course. And this is a really interesting board, but we're not going to talk about that today. But they are the same group. But they also wanted to do some aluminum Spacebars, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I'm going to be totally honest here, of course, as always. I have always been very skeptical of metal keycaps. In general, I think they don't tend to feel or sound very good, and Spacebar, often being the loudest key on your keyboard, can often be accentuated by bad noises and such. So I'm skeptical at best. They did say they're going to send me one, which I thought was kind of cool. So I'm definitely going to check it out, but as obviously you guys know, I'm always honest. So I'm hoping for better than I'm expecting. Let's just say that. But what do you think about metal Spacebars, Jay?
I'd like to try one at some point. I feel like, some people are going to like this and some people aren't. For me, if sounds important to you and feels important to you rather than just looks, this probably isn't going to be for you. If you prefer sound as one of your main constraints when building a board, then this isn't going to sound necessarily great. But then again, I've never tried a Spacebar in aluminium, so I could be completely wrong on that. But I don't think it's going to sound particularly good. I think it's going to be quite loud and quite pingy. In terms of the price, I think $30 is pretty damn good. When we consider that a lot of 1U keycaps are made out of metal or are significantly more expensive. And the finish on this one looked particularly good. So I think the price is great. I am really intrigued by the choice of doing just 7U and 6U, given that 6.25U and 7U are the most common Spacebar sizes in the community in use right now. Probably 6U is the underused one. There's very few boards that do use 6U. It's only the true HHKB style bottom row and a few old 1800s really. Not much else uses them, and I think most people tend to not build 6U unless they have to. So it's really interesting that's the size they've chosen. So I would like to see a 6.25U added to the repertoire.
6.25 is there, Jay, by the way.
Where?
Look at the title. Aluminum Spacebar 6.25U/7U. Color swatch update.
Oh, yes, they're only starting with Cherry 7U and 6U. He does say that. Second sentence. We would really like to start with 7U and 6U.
I think that might be a typo.
Interesting.
I'm gonna assume that's a typo.
Well, looking down, he says, here is a picture of our finished Cherry 6U OEM profile Spacebar.
I don't know how to defend this anymore, Jay. The title says 6.25.
Because I'm right.
Obviously way more common than 6U, yeah. So, I don't know. Either that's a typo, or maybe they have 6U Spacebar boards that they want to use. I don't know.
So it was 6U and 7U, but they've changed it. He's in chat. One Pitoko's in chat. He said, we changed to 6.25U and 7U. There we go. So it's going to be that. The other interesting thing I've just realised as well when I read that out, it says here is a finished picture. A picture of our finished Cherry 6U OEM profile Spacebar. So which is it Cherry or is it OEM? Because those two profiles are very different.
That's
it looks
true. It's probably Cherry. Yeah, when you use, we don't really know what kind of wealth of knowledge that Pitoko or Victor here has. So obviously OEM is a profile, and so is Cherry as far as keycap profiles go. So when you say Cherry OEM, it's kind of contradictory because those two profiles aren't the same. I'm assuming they mean Cherry here, and maybe OEM is there for some different reason.
Yeah. So Yeah, so cherry stems are where you've got the cross-shaped cruciform, which you have, yeah. But it's in terms of the actual shape of the spacebar on the height of it and the shape and the angle of the top as well. So that's what's donated in terms of the profile. So you have, for example, SA, DSS, DSA, cherry, and OEM, and all of those are very, very different. Now, cherry and OEM are relatively similar. They're probably fairly close, but close, there is quite a bit of difference between them, and it's significantly noticeable. If you typed with one hand on cherry keys and one hand on OEM keys, you'd know that they were different.
El Pepe is asking if OEM is shorter on space versus cherry, and no, it's not. OEM's taller than cherry for every profile. So yeah, interesting. All right, but they do have a color swatch here for their local shop's anodization, and that's a fair amount of colors that you can get a spacebar in, which is kind of cool. Color options always nice.
Yeah. They look good. I'd love a brass one. I'd love a raw, sandblasted brass spacebar that can get my nice patina thumbprints all over. Well, my four fingerprints, because I don't use my thumb on spacebar, but because I'm a heathen.
You are a heathen, man. I'm a heathen. That's pretty heathen.
Yeah. So I'd love a solid brass one. So if you're considering opportunities for different materials, Pitoko, then yeah, brass. Let me know, and I will fund the prototype.
Yeah, one of the reasons I tend not to like metal keycaps is because obviously they are often heavier than plastic keycaps. Thus they will feel different if you're pressing on the same switch versus a plastic keycap. So let's say you're using it on your spacebar or whatever. Your spacebar is going to already be easier to actuate, which I don't like. But obviously you can choose to put a heavier spring in that switch if that's something you're more interested in. He did mention, I don't remember when and where it was, but I think he told me the other day on stream that the aluminum version here that they have is not really that much heavier than a PBT spacebar of the same size, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so that could be pretty cool. If that is true and they are that light, this could be kind of interesting. But yeah, otherwise, like steel and brass and some aluminum caps I've used in the past are just a little too pingy. They look cool, but you know, with sound being such a big deal in our community these days, a lot of people don't want high-pitched pinging and clanging. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, again, it's good to see new things in the market. If you're open to doing commissions on this sort of thing, Pitoko, let me know, because I would definitely like a cherry brass 6.2, 7U probably go for a 7U spacebar. Yeah, but no, I think it's good to see new things. So yeah, wish them best of luck, and the price looks great as well. $30. Yeah, bargain.
price very reasonable. Can't complain about that. So yeah, definitely looking forward to checking one of these out and seeing how it actually feels and looks and sounds in person.
Yep.
All right.
I wonder if MK Ultra can cut me some EVA foam to put inside one. I have the thoughts of a project here.
that could be interesting. Yeah, just filling all the dead space in it with EVA foam. Just fill it all in with EVA.
I
mean, it probably wouldn't even be that hard. Like, you could probably just stuff like whatever in there.
Yeah, but it'd be nice if it just slotted in really nicely. You had a little bit of sticky back tape and it just pushed in. That'd be really nice.
That would be pretty sexy. You're right.
Yeah. Eskimojo wants a carbon fiber spacebar. No comment, but maybe you should speak to me in private, because maybe I'm looking at some.
What? Never mind. I'm not gonna touch on that. Not even gonna touch on that. All right, let's move on to the last topic in our news doc for today. This is an interest check for Universal 65% Center USB-C PCB. And I added this to the doc mainly because I really like the idea. Obviously, 65%, as a lot of you might know, is not really a standard in our community. Like, it is, but it's not. 60% is barely a standard in our community, and it's way more standard than 65%. But 65% being as popular as it is now, I think we could probably start making moves to have more of a standard like we do with 60%, but with 65%. So yeah. I feel like this is kind of a nice first step on that, and I think obviously what we have to do is we have to start putting out quote-unquote standard products for this. So yeah, you know, maybe some plates and PCBs, starting us off with a PCB here.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that this allows us to do is to start to look at, coming up with that kind of standardization and keeping that standardization going. More and more boards are becoming center USB, and more and more boards are kind of having similar layouts and things like that, and just having different cases designed around them. The fact if we had, almost, and I don't mean necessarily open source, but if there was some really easy access, designs for PCBs that designers could just lift and drop into all of their cases, that'd be really good. For example, I've got an Exent now, and I've also got a Zephyr as well, which are two of the boards mentioned in this interest check. But if you take the Zephyr PCB, which is the Zeal 65, that doesn't fit into the Exent without trimming it and sanding it down. Whereas if you take the Exent one, that does fit into the Zeal case, quite nicely. So it's worthwhile bearing in mind that these subtle differences, we could just design around those quite cleverly and come up with some new options to make sure that there's some really set standards in terms of PCB design. Gondolindrum has been doing some great work on this as well, making all of his PCBs open source, which is a great resource and fantastic as well. But you could start to do things like have a PCB that the design was there, had a central USB port on it that you didn't have to solder, or you could snap off, and then have something like a daughter board and breakout off the really easy to adjust design depending on what your board and case looks like.
Yeah, and I feel like, if I'm being honest, it's going to be really hard to try to get something like this to be standard, because back in the day in 2013 or whatever, when 60% was kind of becoming more standard, there were so few designers and manufacturers actually doing that stuff, so it was starting from the ground up. Now 65% has been around for years and years and years and years, and it's super popular, but we don't have a standard for it. Everyone kind of just does their own thing. But we'd have to have all these designers actually agree to do something like this, of which there are infinitely more designers in the community now than there were 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, or 7 years ago, when 60% was starting to gain a lot of traction.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's going to be difficult, but I feel like we can take steps to start to standardize 65%, maybe even 75%. And get some more, even if it's just entry-level products in the market, have more replacement PCBs, having maybe some tray mount cases and plates. I know KBDfans somewhat recently started the tray mount Tofu 65, which is also pretty nice there. If we can have some kind of standardization here, I think it'll help a lot of people.
Agree.
And even if not, it's nice to have replacement PCBs, because let's say, your Zeal 60, this is just an example, it's not necessarily going to say this is true, but let's say your Zeal 65 PCB breaks or something, and you need a replacement, and there are none available. Zeal has no more in stock, and there's just not, you can't go anywhere and buy one. So, I'm just using the Zephyr as an example here. This could be any board. But, a lot of PCB replacements are unobtainable for specific boards.
Yeah, which is why we see group buys for the OTD ones, for example. We saw the OTD group buy for those PCBs a while back. I think we saw one for the Exent a couple of weeks ago as well. That's why this sort of thing gets brought up, because people have boards that they bought 2 or 3 years ago that they now can't use because the PCBs aren't available. If we had something that was more universal, well, they could just grab another one off the shelf from whichever vendor's got one in stock and go with that. So it's got to be a step in the right direction to move towards that.
Yeah, definitely. Quick shout out to Fiona, who did continue the gift sub that they got from JShub earlier. So thank you so much for
nice.
that. And
that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and TechFresh also subbed earlier at Tier 1 for 9 months. Says yo. So thanks for that, guys. Appreciate that. I didn't miss it. We're in a heated PCB discussion here.
We're just chatting, boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super User 4. I wasn't even doing a pirate accent. Super User 4 with the Twitch Prime 9 months sub. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah. Well, maybe you should do more pirate accents, Jay. Now that your voice is slightly better. I don't know. You kind of.
Well, I'm still coughing at the minute. Maybe next week.
All right.
Maybe next week.
The bottom line is
Top Clack pirate jokes.
Top Clack needs more pirate-themed episodes, I think, is really what we're getting at here.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways,
okay.
Yes, Universal 65% PCB. I like the way this is going. Definitely a project I'd like to support, and I'd like to see more standardization. Nothing has to be perfect. Obviously, 60% is still somewhat standardized, but it's still far from perfect. With so many customs on the market these days, it can be a little difficult. And that's only going to be harder with 65% now, because it's been around for so long with nobody trying to standardize anything.
But if Hedgie can get buy-in from a decent chunk of vendors, I think it's a great opportunity. Designers, I think it's a great opportunity to try and start that off. So yeah, all power to Hedgie, and I hope it comes off.
Yeah, the designers and the vendors are going to be the driving force behind this, not necessarily the consumers.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
if everyone can get on the same page, two thumbs up. If I had more thumbs, I'd give more thumbs up, but I'm giving the maximum amount of thumbs up that I can possibly give right now.
Nice.
Yep.
Lovely thumbs.
Yep. Speaking of thumbs up, though, I give my thumbs up over to our first sponsor, Zeal. Thumbs up to his switches that I like quite a bit. Of course, he has lots of switches in stock, including linears, silent linears, tactiles, and silent tactiles of varying weights and varieties, depending on what you're after. A lot of really, really nice high-end switches. I like them quite a bit. Currently, he does have a group buy going on for Aqua Xylent switches. If this page would load, thank you. This pre-order was supposed to close yesterday, but he actually extended it because apparently it's been pretty popular. So,
really?
yeah. So, this is still going on, guys. So, if you want to pre-order some of the Aqua Xylent switches, you can still get on those 62 and 67 gram varieties. A little bit different color on those as well. I actually have some. I still haven't used them, but I still have some samples that I requested from him. And they do feel pretty darn good. They feel a little bit smoother than the normal Xylents, but still working on getting those on the board so I can get a real good feel for them.
Nice.
Regardless of whether you want to buy some of those or buy some other switches, of course, you can use our affiliate link, which is zealpc.net/topclack. That gives us a nice little kickback. It doesn't cost you anything extra, of course, but it helps us out way more than you might think. So please consider that if you're going to be picking up some of these switches.
Absolutely, yeah. Moving on now, we're going to speak about novel keys for just a moment. So Mike and his wonderful store and staff. So first things first, if you are interested in keycaps, you're interested in the color red, and you like nice sub-legends, perhaps the GMK Crimson Cadet set will take your fancy. That is in group buy right now with kits from I think it's $115 for the base kit, and symbols and spacebar kits all around the $40 mark, $20 to $40 mark as well. So if you're interested in that, you want to support a box key, you want to support novel keys, please do consider that set because it looks pretty darn tasty. If that one's not kind of up your street, Cat Milkshake and the M6C Milkshake edition from Rama are still available at the moment as well, so they're still in group buy for a few more days. So if you're interested in those are still up too. Cat is one of the preferred profiles on Top Clack. Both Brian and I really like that profile, and Milkshake is a great colorway as well. Failing that, if you want to look at springs or switches, Mike has got pretty much everything in stock right now, so switches are all there. Springs are in stock in multiple different weights, and of course, you can always buy the lovely Gator Ron to look after your purchases once they're on the way in shipping, and he'll take good care of those in the box because he's fantastic and amazing.
I wonder how many Gator Rons have actually sold. Oh, I'd be really curious. Now. I'd be curious to know how many people have bought these because they're so adorable.
Yeah, I've got two now. I've got one at the work office and as a little mascot on desk.
I still don't have one, and that's a problem. I need to get one. Regardless, whether you're here, you can get 5% off all in-stock items with the promo code Clackers. That's one word, Clackers. All right. Next up, we have Input Club over at Kono.store. We have a few different things going on right now. You can still get in on the Keystone pre-order. If that's your thing, that's kind of what we've been heralding as at the future of mechanical keyboards. A lot of analog Hall effect technology going on there, which looks pretty darn awesome in the way that they're implementing it. You can also get something new that they just launched, but it's not on their front page, so shame on them for not putting it on the front page. But if you're a fan of the Big Bang MDA set, you can actually get an Ortho set now in a couple different colors for a pretty cheap price. Yeah, so this isn't actually listed on their front page. I had to go and search for it because it was part of the newsletter. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm gonna pick up a set of this for my my orange Prionic that I haven't never been able to find keycaps for that like really match. But I think these will actually look pretty good. So definitely consider that. Pretty darn cheap price if you're into the Ortho stuff there. But if you're looking at just more mainstream stuff, maybe you're getting into mechanical keyboards or you want to get someone else into mechanical keyboards, you can consider the Hex Gears collection over here. There's a lot of really inexpensive boards. Varying in sizes, switch types, and low profile, high profile, etc. Lots of different products from there for very, very inexpensive amounts of money. So definitely consider that if you're trying to force someone into the hobby.
And speaking of Force, we've got the Beast from the East, KBDfans as well. So Wei and his store always providing the community with great products. Again, pretty much everything you could possibly want all in one place. Lots of different kits. If you want to do something DIY from every particular range, you can get 60%, 40%, 65%, 75%. You know, there's pretty much everything in stock depending on what you're looking for. If you want something to get you started off in the community, build up a board and take a look at that. As well as that, he's also got a couple of things in Group Buy at the minute. He's got the standard keyboard case, which you've seen before in Group Buy. So if you want something to protect your board on the way to a meetup or something, you can take a look at those as well. And plenty of keycaps in stock too. So if you're looking for something, we talked about some true double shot PBT keycaps last week. Those are really rather rare in the community. A lot of what we've sold as double shot PBT is actually just single shot PBT with another plastic involved as well. But these are true double shot PBT keycaps that are on there as well. So if you are interested, please feel free to check those out and support Wei.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we could also get the KBD 6X, or was it 6X? Or 6.7 Mark II? KBD 6.7 Mark II. That sold out so fast. Oh my gosh. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Has that gone up yet? I didn't even realize it went up.
It went up after the show last week. Like an hour and a half after we ended the show.
Out.
And it sold out, like, in a couple days, I think, or less.
I have to be honest though, it was my bargain board of the year last year. So if you wanted a great value product and you didn't want to spend too much money, pound for pound, I thought the original KBD 67 was well up there in terms of value for money on a board. Yeah. So it's great to see that there's a revised version. I know AIO3 worked his magic on this one, so that's crazy that that's sold out so quick.
Yeah, it sold out so quick. I didn't even realize they were gonna cap it. I thought they'd just keep making them, just keep stocking them or something.
Well, I think they will. I'm just reading it now. It says the next batch is expected to arrive around October 20th.
Nice.
Yeah. So
this is like the entry-level custom kit of choice right now in the community. They're just killing it with it. Anyways, without too much rambling, last but not least on the sponsors list, we have Dixiemech. You can find that over at dixiemech.com/topclack. Once again, an affiliate link helps us out a lot. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Right now, his flagship set for the month is GMK 9009, of course. Classic colorway, coming in at base kit at $100. Very, very affordable. Very, very accessible. Very, very nice. Love that classic stuff. And of course, he has apparel and desk mats, of course, as always. Always that good stuff. And he has coasters, which I'm still using because Dixiemech coasters for the win.
Yeah.
I use one of these literally every single day. So always cute to see that. All right, guys. Let's move to a Q&A segment before we head off for the night, or morning for Jay. So if you guys have questions, hopefully we have answers for you. Just use the @TopClack tag so we can see the questions a lot easier. All right, going back just a little bit. 10 Strong did ask which of the 4 Timberwolf layouts, and he does link them, pictured halfway down the page there, would each of you choose and why? Would you go for double ISO, Jay?
I can't see the double ISO one. I'm looking for it. I can't see it.
I don't think double ISO was a choice, was it?
I'm scrolling down the page. It says halfway down the page. I can't see. I've got all the way to the bottom of the first page. I can't see it in the comments. I don't see it in the list. The layouts 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see a double ISO layout option.
Yeah, I'm not finding it either.
Of the 4 that I can see under the layout section in the original, I see that 10 Strong's linked. I'd probably go for the one that's the 4th option on the plum coloured board with the top left rotary encoder. That's probably the board I'd pick. Not just because it's rendered in ISO, but because that's probably the layout that I like the most out of all of the ones that are on display there.
Yeah, actually, that's the layout I would choose too. I would do it in ONSI, but that's the format that I would choose. Blocker the top left, full column on the left, win keyless blockers.
Win keyless. That's exactly the reason why I picked it.
Yeah, this seems like the most functional layout, and to me, the most aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
So I would.
So we
I would
agree on that.
Yeah.
Vomindoran subscribed at tier 1 as well, subscribed for 14 months and says, "Hey TC fam, how's it going? Did I miss the news?" I think you joined us just towards the end of the news, but thank you very much for joining, dude. You can always catch up on the VOD as well if you'd like to.
Yep. Macmillan's saying it's sold out in 6 minutes, the KBD 6.7 Mark II. That is nuts.
No, 90 units in 6 minutes. That's crazy. That's almost TGR levels of sale.
That's pretty wild. I'm actually a little... What surprises me even more is that they only had 90 units. You'd think KBD fans, with how well the Mark I was selling, would have at least attempted a couple hundred units there.
Yeah, you'd have thought they'd have had more in stock. They can't. They just must not have anticipated demand.
They probably took them by as much surprise as it took all of us.
Yeah, agree.
They're probably like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Probably. Like, where'd they go? All the buds are gone. What's happening? Clavier with the next question. He says, at Top Clack, who is your favourite creator in the community and why is it Clavier?
I love how narcissistic he is. I love that.
I'm gonna read the question again, and I'm gonna change it slightly. I'm gonna say, who is your favorite creator in the community? And let's leave it there. Brian, pick another content creator in the community. Who would you like to check out?
Well, creator is a vague term, right? So it's not only content creator. Would that be creator of everything?
Yeah, it could be creator of anything. Yeah, designer. Board designer, key set designer. Content creator, whatever you want to term it as. Who would you pick?
We'll let him specify if he means a specific type of creator. Let us know,
okay.
and then I will answer that question for sure.
Fine. Okay. Moving on then. Clever Leon. He says, "Have we tried the new Zeal Xylants yet?" So you've got some in hand, haven't you, Brian? So what do you think? So?
The Xylants. Yeah, I've only used them in hand. Disclaimer: I have not put them on a board yet. I've kind of just been poking around at some of them, and they feel pretty good to me. They feel a little bit smoother than the previous Xylants for the V2.
Good, yeah.
But we'll see. I love the way they feel. The problem I had with the V2 Xylants before is that no matter how I lube them, I couldn't get the noise to be quite as precise as I wanted. It's almost like there was a little bit of like leaf rattle or something like that, and I just couldn't clear it up. I think they feel amazing, but the sound was always just a little kind of funky for me, and I just didn't really care for it.
Yeah, great.
So I don't know. I mean, they were quiet, but they still had a very distinct noise that was kind of different. Yeah, and so I just went back to the Helios, which are, really quiet and also very, very awesome. So I'm hoping these are improved. Obviously, they have improved bottoms, so that was kind of one of the selling points of these. So hopefully, I'll get these in something soon. I'll get them lubed up, put them in something soon, and we can figure that out. Maybe that'll be. Maybe I can come up with something to do a build stream with tomorrow with these.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna think about that.
Yeah, I'd like to see what your thoughts are on them as well. Yeah. Okay. Next question comes from Jack Static. He says, "At Top Clack, what beard maintenance products do you use?" Just a beard brush and beard oil once in the morning. And that's about it. Trim them. They get the barbers to do my beard trimming. I don't do it myself. But yeah, that's about it.
I actually haven't used any oil in a while. I used to use oils daily. Now I just kind of wash and condition it. I'm not the best beard enthusiast. I'll definitely admit that right now. I used to use a lot of beard oils from someone that made them in this community, believe it or not, Nerdly. I don't know if he still does, but he used to make soaps and beard oils, and I used to buy both of them. I loved the soaps, and the beard oil is also pretty good as well. So I used to use that, but I haven't used any in a while. I think I still have some, though, but then I just have like a comb as well. Some of you might have been able to tell, I actually just recently trimmed up quite a bit. I usually let my barber do it, but I was feeling particularly cheap right now, so I just kind of did it myself, and it looks terrible, obviously, but it's more of just a refreshing and comfort kind of thing at this point.
I think it looks fine. Don't worry about it, dude. But there we go.
Thanks, man.
Next question comes from KVS and says, "Just filled out my group buy form for the Key 65. What do you guys think of that board?" We talked about it last week or the week before, I think, when it went into group, or just before it went into group buy. I think it's a pretty alright board. It looks good, it looks nice. Some interesting pomp options in there as well. I think it's fine. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a bad keyboard.
Yeah, I agree. So this was formerly the NR65, right? Just making sure.
Correct. Yeah,
right.
that's
okay.
One, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually I think this board looks pretty darn good. So you probably won't regret it. Fox Labs messed up a little bit on their previous board, the Leaf 60. There were some issues, but it was like kind of okay as well. So, but it seems like I remember when we went through the interest check on the show, it seemed like they had a lot of solutions for a lot of the issues that went wrong. They were aware of everything and they laid it out. They're like, here's how we're gonna fix everything. So I got respect for Fox Labs now. So I think the Key 65 will be a good board.
I think this is their 4th or 5th large scale group buy as well now, so they're pretty. They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they know how to put things right.
Yeah, they're not dumb. They've done this before. It is a great looking board though. I think it is underrated, if anything.
Absolutely. Okay. Talisman Solutions saying, what will you be streaming to compete with all of the TwitchCon festivities? I don't think we've got any specific plans during TwitchCon.
I don't even know when TwitchCon
is.
We're still not Twitch partners, so we don't. It doesn't really like involve us. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't really know what TwitchCon is. So, I mean, I'm assuming it's a convention. That's about as far as I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah. September 27th to the 29th. It's actually on right now. So yeah, we've got this show and. Brian might do a build stream.
I might do something tomorrow. Yeah.
I'll have a build stream on Sunday, and that'll be it. So there we go. That's what we do.
Cool.
Scrolling down. Clavier says, favorite content producer, pretty pics, pretty ASMR typing vids, building vids, pretty videos, best tweets, jokes, etc. Content creators. So he's saying content creators. I'm not going to give an example for every single thing he's asked for there. I think there's a few big options. I think the things that Mex on Decks are doing is pretty good. Big fan of the International Kit podcast. You've got Off the Clack and the Board podcast as well. Lots of good content creators out there. Anything from you, Brian, that you want to call out?
Let's see. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to give an answer for every single one of those either. But a lot of content creators kind of fall into all of those categories, anyways. So I would say obviously I like Nathan Kim, Teo Types. I like a lot of the stuff that he does, and I'm glad he's kind of pioneering our hobby farther into the world, and I think he's doing an amazing job of it. I think that's the easy answer. I'm going to go with Mex on Deck is probably my favorite content producer right now. I don't watch all of their stuff, but I try to catch some of their stuff when I do. I genuinely think that both their hosts, Osiris and Chewy, are just like two of the nicest, kindest, most amazing and genuine people this community has ever seen. So, I think some of their content's a little rough, but hey, so is Top Clack's. It's whatever. But as far as like genuine content creators, content producers, I think they do an incredible job.
Agree. Yeah. Next question comes from Crown Sigil. He says, have you guys had a chance to try out those new purple trash pandas yet? No, Mike, he's sending me some, but he's sending me a load of other stuff as well for the UK meetup to do some giveaways with. So I don't know when that's shipping, but yeah, I'll get them whenever that comes in at some point. I'll probably have them on stream. Brian, have you tried them yet?
I have not. Those are the tactile ones, right?
Yeah.
I need to. Ones, yeah. I'm going to ask Mike for some of those tonight, I think. I have not tried them yet, but I need to, because this is like the 12th time I've been asked how I feel about them, and I hate not being able to answer questions when I'm asked. It's like a really big pet peeve of mine. So I'm gonna ask for some tonight, and hopefully I'll pick some up either way, and we'll have an answer for you soon.
We'll try and answer that in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
10 Strong asking me what's going on with the Drug Kingpin. So I bought the board.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You should probably give just a brief backstory on what that is, just because it's been a little bit.
So the board is a really interesting kind of like flat plate that has got intersecting metal bars that run across it that form a kind of pseudo PCB and kind of pseudo layer. And then the switches are housed in kind of like little clips, and they magnetize and clip onto the horizontal running bars. And depending on how you line them up, they can become different keys in different places, and you can program them all individually. And then you just put keycaps on the top. So effectively, you have an area where you can have any layout that you want. So I bought one of these a while back. It was one of those things from Taobao that got shipped to Superbuy. When Superbuy got hold of it, it was all broken and damaged, so they shipped it back and asked for a replacement, and that's about as far as it's got. So the replacement has hasn't come through to Taobao yet. I think it's got 7 days. I think it's the end of this month, early next month, when its 3 months is up. So they would then refund me instantly. If that happens, I'll just buy it again, and hopefully it'll kickstart the process to get
it was really inexpensive, if I recall. Like, it really wasn't that much money.
$200 with 30 of the little clips for keycaps or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was more. I don't know. Maybe it was 60 little clips or something. I don't know. It was enough to test it out and try it out anyway.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Talisman, next question asks, how have you learned to cope with the fact that you're not the legendary Clavier when you see acrylic in the wild? I don't know. I've actually been following Clavier more lately than I ever have before. I've been trying to poke into some of his streams, been following his Instagram, and I realized the other day that I really need one of his Win-keyless TKL boards, because he keeps posting this one that's like I don't know, it's like a green or a yellow or something, and I'm like, I don't want that color, but I really want that board. So I've been trying to poke around on his stuff a little bit more lately. The fact that I'm not Clavier, obviously big disappointment. I wish I were, but unfortunately I'm not.
Sure.
That's life.
Nebula has a recommendation for you and says that Nerdly is making more soap right now. There you go.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. I like his soap, but for whatever reason, like I use it like really fast. Like a bar of soap of Nerdly's will last me like a week, whereas like a more traditional commercial style bar of soap will last me like closer to a month maybe.
Yeah.
So it's poor value for me because it's also way more expensive than like normal soap, but it is really, really nice.
Nothing wrong with some nice soap. Boy314 says thoughts on dried shiitake mushrooms. Yeah, fine. Yeah, I like dried mushrooms.
Okay, I'm gonna go a step further. Mushrooms are my favorite thing to eat, and if I were to pick one thing to eat for the rest of my life, it would be mushrooms.
Nice.
And so I am a big fan of shiitake mushrooms. I'm a big fan of most mushrooms. I'm not talking about psychedelic drug mushrooms, by the way, just in case someone's trying to clip me on this. But yeah, as far as the food item goes, I love mushrooms.
Nice. And then next question is from TechFresh saying, IPA or a hazy IPA? I think I'd always go for a hazy IPA if I could only pick one of the two.
Right now, I like hazy IPAs more, but if I had to pick one to drink like for the rest of my life, it would probably just be a more standard IPA. But like to me, I think that the genre of beer matters less versus the beer itself. So like you could have a really good IPA, or you could have a really bad IPA, or you can have a good hazy IPA or a bad hazy IPA. So it's like at some point I'm picking which beer I like more versus what genre I like more.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. Frosted Flax says Top Clack 24-hour stream date announced. No, not yet. We are working on it. We do have a plan for it. We've got loads of cool stuff lined up for it. The challenge is we've had every time we've tried to set a date, something's happened. So we set a date, and then I had to take a couple of weeks off Top Clack for some personal reasons, and then we started to look at it again. Then we set a date, and then we had to go through our whole branding refresh. And we will get there. It will happen.
And then our 3-year anniversary, and it's like, there's always something that's like trying to stop us from finalizing the 24-hour stream.
Soon it'll be Christmas, and then we will get.
No, it should be before then. It's like it's our next major event. I feel like so.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be too long.
Watch this space, and we'll announce.
It's just
something.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because it's not just going to be like most other 24-hour streams where people just like do something for 24 hours. It's going to be like really structured, with tons of like segments, events, multiple guest appearances, etc.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit harder to put together as opposed to just being like, I'm going to stream for 24 hours,
There's actually going to be a whole schedule, so you guys can drop in and out depending on which bits you want to watch and who you want to see us talk to and all of stuff like that. So we're almost going to have like a TV listings kind of thing where you can say, oh, I want to see that bit, or I want to see that bit, and maybe I don't want to watch that, so that's when I'm going to do my chores for the day, and then I can come back later on and I can watch Brian do this bit, and then Jay's going to do that bit, and whatever you want to watch, and you can pick and choose the bits that you see.
It's going to be unlike anything you've ever seen in this community. I guarantee that.
Yeah. 10 Strong, I know we've probably missed a couple of questions, but he says, is there still an achievement for making the whole thing? If someone is there and watches the whole thing all the way through, I will give them a prize.
I feel like giving out prizes for that's a good thing, but how do we know that they've been there the whole time?
Well, they have to have spoken like at least once every hour. If we notice someone's gone quiet and they don't respond, then
because like watching
the prize is going to be expensive. I'll be honest, it's going to be a pretty cheap prize, but it's going to be some stickers and some stem tweezers and some other things I can put my hands on quite quickly. But I will do something for anyone who's there all the time.
Yeah, I feel like if there's a way to show that someone was actually there the whole time and like at least being somewhat active in chat, there should definitely be some kind of prize or reward for it. But I feel like we need to find a way to measure that first.
There might be something we can do on looking at the regulars function in Nightbot and things like that, because I think you can have some controls around it in there. So we might have a look and see what we can do. There must be a bot of some way.
There's going to be giveaways regardless. There's going to be giveaways either way.
Yeah.
So, but it would be kind of cool to have that be like an achievement as well. So, yeah, good question on that.
Mech Merlin saying, what do you recommend for drinking whilst lubing switches? Does it change based on the type of lube you're using? Good coin. It's not like steak where you have red wine and chicken where you have white or anything like that. I tend to do most of my lubing in the morning, watching TV with a coffee. So I tend to drink coffee while I'm lubing.
I mean, if I'm lubing switches for myself, I'm probably drinking. It's probably going to be at night, and it's probably going to be with whiskey or beer. I feel like I'm being trolled here. I don't think what you drink changes based on the lube you're using. I think Merlin's just trying to troll me here, so I'm just going to pass off a little bit on that. We do have some other questions, but people forgot to tag us. Chad did ask. But he forgot to use the @TopClack tag. He's asking, one beer to drink for the rest of your life. And he says, Pliny the Elder, which I've heard of, but I've never actually had.
It's too hard. Maybe a Hobgoblin, maybe Theakston's Old Peculiar, maybe Guinness. I couldn't pick one. It's really tough. It's not easy.
I mean, if it's the only beer you're drinking for the rest of your life, it has to be something... I feel like it kind of has to be neutral. Like, somewhat neutral, somewhat maybe mild.
You don't want something too heavy, you don't want something too light, you don't want something too dark, you don't want something too, open, you don't want... It's so difficult, because you don't want something that's terrible on a hot day, you don't want something that's terrible on a cold day. Picking just one is not possible. It's not possible. Just not.
Yeah. I don't know, like, my favorite beer right now is still a local one to me called Top Cutter IPA by Balebreaker Brewing. And I just love that beer. So it could be that beer, but also at the same time, I feel like Belgian beers are probably the right way to go here, because Belgian beers have this incredible thing where they're very high alcohol by volume, but they don't taste like it. So
that's true.
So like you're drinking like, a 9.5% Belgian ale and it tastes like, a 5.5% beer. I feel like that is a really good way to go about it. The Belgians have beer figured out, man, let me tell you. So I might go with a Belgian beer, because I feel like IPAs, while IPA is kind of like my favorite genre, I wouldn't necessarily want to drink only IPAs for the rest of my life, but I feel like Belgian beers, I definitely could.
Yeah, if you ever do come over to the UK, Brian, we've got a pub that's just around the corner from where I work, and they have no fewer than 60 craft beers on tap at any given time. So, that's always a really interesting thing, because you can go in there every day and have something different, and it's really good. So, if you ever do get over to the UK, we'll go spend the day there.
Very nice. I like that a lot. Let's do it.
Next question we tagged in is from Talisman, saying, just wanted to shout out two new female keyboard related streamers that have recently been made aware of. So Ali Builds, who I've seen before. Ali Builds, she what did I watch build? I think I saw build a Cypher and some other bits, some of West Foxtrot's designs, April keyboards as well, and he's also given a shout out to Tyson Builds and I Am Me UIU, who are both now streaming the builds semi-regular as well. Yeah, I've checked them all out at different times. So yeah, but you're right to call out that there's lots more content creators coming. You know, a lot more community members starting to stream, and hopefully that'll give keyboards a great dynamic in, you know, the whole infrastructure. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that many more years before keyboard streaming is kind of like a thing where you can just go on Twitch as a viewer, and at any point in time of the day or week or month, you can find someone streaming some kind of keyboard content. We're not that far away from that, honestly. Maybe only a year or two. So yeah, I actually for the first I haven't seen Ali builds yet, but I did pop into Apiary keyboards. Is that how you say it? Is it Apiary? Apiary?
Apiary, I think, is how we say it in the UK anyway. But I don't know if that's. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I popped into her stream the other day for a little bit, and it was pretty cool. That's just one of the things I like doing. I like just watching other streamers as well, seeing what they do versus what I do. You know, their personalities versus mine, etc. I Am Me, You Are You. I think I think he's pretty underrated. He doesn't usually get very many viewers, but I think he's a very nice guy, and he has a really good mindset on the community. And he's
really
very
nice guy,
very wholesome, very positive. Yeah, we drank with him in Seattle at the mod house, and it was a good time. I haven't watched Tyson build yet. I didn't realize he was doing builds. That's pretty cool too. I'll check him out as well.
Yeah. AZ Walker stop. So Walker says best late night emergency convenience store beer. Whatever they have that is cold. If it's an emergency convenience store beer and you're going down there and they've got beers that are out on the shelf that are warm and they've got beers in the fridge, doesn't matter what it is, you want the beer in the fridge.
First, I'm gonna shout out to Functional, who did a sub at Tier 1 for 7 months and says, "Hey,
Thanks,
fellas." Man. So thank you, hey to you as well. Thank you, Functional, for joining us. Always a pleasure, especially to have Twitch staff in here. Nothing makes me sweat more. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Back to the question. Emergency convenience store beer. So out here, I don't know how it is where you are or where Walker is, but out here, almost every single convenience store, and I say almost, but like I've never seen one without this. They all have local craft beers, and they usually have several to choose from, like anywhere from like 5 to 20 local craft beers that are aren't bad, like they're actually good beers. At every single gas station. Do we?
Yeah, like if you go to a convenience store in the UK or a small shop, we will have literally a whole aisle dedicated to beer and spirits. And then you'll have another aisle that's dedicated to alcohol. You know, yeah.
We don't have spirits in our convenience stores out here, like our gas stations and stuff. Yeah. We don't have that, unfortunately. But a lot of them will have anywhere from like 10 to 50 beer varieties. Some of them local, some of them domestic. Some of them
my local farm shop has I think it's over 30 beers just from within a 20-mile radius, and they have other beers from a wider radius as well.
Yeah, I think the answer, at least my answer for this question, is get whatever is local to you. Always support local breweries when you can. If you're a fan of the microbrew scene, I think that supporting local breweries is incredibly important. Just like supporting local farmers if you're a chef, and supporting local small businesses, just in general. So whatever is local to you, grab whatever is local to you. If you absolutely have nothing that's local to you, or you absolutely hate everything that's local to you, or whatever, Heineken is kind of like my default fallback because almost everywhere has it. I don't particularly love it, but I like it more than like Budweiser, and I like it more than Coors.
What I will say is, if you've already had a few beers and it's cold and it's in the fridge, it doesn't matter what it is. You know, if you've already had a few nice beers and you've run out, and it doesn't matter if it's Coors, if it's Heineken, if it's Budweiser, if it's any of those other brands, it doesn't matter. You're going to enjoy it anyway. Let's be honest. You're going to enjoy it anyway. So, you know.
Yeah. Clavier asking, we've been talking about beer for a while now. Clavier asking another beer question. Have either of you drank Duvel yet? Duvel? I don't know how to pronounce it. I've
quite a few times.
Yeah, that's one of the Belgian beers we can actually find out here. I liked it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a Belgian beer I didn't like. Every time I drink a Belgian beer, I'm always like, that's pretty good. It's pretty good, and it's also 10%.
I'd say it's probably the most common Belgian beer, but I wouldn't say it's the nicest at all. There are.
You got to realize that a lot of like the best beer is going to be like local though. So like to get the best Belgian beer, generally you're going to have to be in Belgium. Like just like we have amazing beers out here that we don't outsource, and I'm sure the UK is the same as well.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't say it was my favorite one though.
Yeah,
I think there are many other Belgian beers I'd rather pick than that one.
Fair enough.
Merlin says the current question you need to answer because tomorrow is National Drink Beer Day. Oh, okay. Well, that's today for me, so I'll go drink some beer. Yeah.
I guess I'll have a beer. I haven't really been drinking much beer at all in quite some time, so yeah, maybe I'll have one later.
Clavier also mentions that we should go to Belgium now. I'm actually in Belgium in a few weeks, so.
Are you?
Yeah. Only briefly, only for a couple of days, but yeah.
Very nice.
Scrolling down, Slippery Pete says, have you considered setting up a hosting list so that when you're not streaming, there are other channels streaming through the channel? Yes, we already do that. So people like Tiny...
we auto-host at least like 5 people right now, I think.
Yeah, quite a few.
Nathan, Tiny, I think we host Mex on Deck. I think we host I Am Me, You Are You. We host Ray when he streams, Rage and Asian.
Heine, I think, as well.
Heine. Yeah. There might even there's probably upwards of like 10 people that we auto host, but it's been a while since I've updated it. There's probably a few more that we could add.
Yeah. Polyzoo with the 10 months Switch as Prime subscription. Thank you very much, dude. 10 months. That's a long time. Thank you, dude.
Very nice. Functional says, "Don't sweat me being here."
Okay.
Twitch staff is scary, man. Just kidding. I've only ever had pleasant interactions with Twitch staff, actually.
Yeah, they've been great.
All right, let's try to rapid fire the last few questions here, so Jay can get some sleep before he has to go into the office.
Yeah, I need to go.
All right. Lou Pelios asking, what's the biggest similarities between American beer and canoes? I feel like this is a joke.
They're both close to water, I bet.
Ah, it's true. Well, yeah.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, exactly.
Is it?
This is the answer is they are pretty damn close to water. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about beers like Budweiser and Coors and all those like main American domestic beers that we export, they're terrible. They're absolutely awful. It's worse than drinking water, and it's a similar alcohol content to water. Like it's just not even worth it. But like that's why I advocate supporting local breweries, because we do have a lot of amazing beers in America. We just don't export them. All right, Clavier saying, I live in Belgium. Are you visiting mykeyboard.eu by any chance? I'd love to grab a beer. I'm assuming that's for you, Jay.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. Nathan Alpha Man. I always like almost mess that name up. Asking, you inspired me to give Ursa proper.
I know what you almost say as well. I can tell what you almost say with that one.
No. He's saying, you inspired me to give Ursa proper UK support. If you don't mind,
nice.
Do you have any feedback on the Paddington kit and novelty? So that's for you, I imagine.
Yeah, let me reach out to you offline. If you drop me a DM, Nathan, and I will pick up with you tomorrow, because it's getting late. It's like 4:15 in the morning. I've got to be in the office for about 8 o'clock. So yeah, reach out to me on Discord, and I will let you know. Send me a picture of the kit, and I'll take a look.
Heck yes. All right. Looks like we are caught up. Yes, we're caught up. So now is a good time to head out. Any closing thoughts, Jay?
Well, in terms of closing thoughts, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you being here every week with us. It's good. Just a reminder that I'm here next week, but then I'm not here the week after. I am on holiday. I'm going on vacation with the wife for her birthday. So I'll be in lovely Cyprus, but I'll be thinking of you while I'm away. In terms of that as well, it will mean, because I'm away weekend to weekend, I'll miss 2 build streams. So my last build stream before I go away will be this Sunday. And that will be at this usual time of 8 p.m. UK, which is 12 noon PST or 3 p.m. EST on Sunday, where I'll be building my board, the JO2. So I've been preparing gaskets and everything else ready for that build. The board is just here if I can grab it. So I'll be building this lovely beast up on stream on Sunday, JO2. Really, really looking forward to that. See if the design language translates from the JO1 into the 60% format. And yeah, that'll be the last build stream I do for a couple of weeks because I'll be away.
Yep, and you're also going to be missing Thursday's episode on October 10th, if I recall.
Yes.
So
not next week, the week after, yeah.
Yep, so either I will be solo, or what I'm probably going to do is try to find a guest host, because that was pretty fun last time we did that with Garrett of Dixiemech. That was a good time. So maybe I'll try to pick up someone different for a guest host spot, just to kind of keep that fun and variety alive. I don't know anyone that can fill Jay's spot, but maybe we could come close. Come on, man! I'm trying to be wholesome. God, you never understand me. This is why this marriage isn't gonna work.
I just disagree with you. That's all it is. But no, I think there's a lot of people that make good guest hosts. I've got a few suggestions I could give you. Yeah,
we'll talk. As far as build streams from me, I might try to do something tomorrow, but no promises. I'm waiting on like a bunch of stuff to come in, and there's like not really a whole lot I can do otherwise besides take a board apart and rebuild it, which sometimes I couldn't do, and it's fun. But I don't necessarily have anything that I want to take apart at the moment, so we'll see. I'll try to come up with something tomorrow, but no promises. Of course, we'll have an update for that in the Discord if I am going to be doing something in the announcements channel.
Nice.
Lastly, stuff below the stream. You can check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to that. You can join our official Discord. You can come hang out with us, play games, and talk about more food stuff or keyboards or video games or whatever. There's something for everyone there, so consider joining that as well. Yeah, so aside from that, until next time, guys, hope you have a fantastic rest of your night or morning, depending on where you are. If you're like Jade, you're suffering and you have to go to work in a few hours.
Yeah, thanks.
F's in chat for Jay, guys.
Give me the F's.
As we roll out here. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you all for the bits and the donations and the subscriptions. You guys have been mighty, mighty kind, and we greatly, greatly appreciate that. All right, guys.
See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.